Okay, what makes an older guy sexy to women? What older guy qualities do so many younger women like me find attractive in an older guy? That is the subject in this video. Okay, point number one. Here's the truth no one else is telling you. Most of the younger generation of men has been so completely destroyed by society and capitalism over the last 20 years that the older guys now have almost no competition. None. We now only coach guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so many of my clients have no clue how wildly successful they can be dating women 10 and 20 years younger these days. So often we hear things like, I can't believe I'm now dating better women than at age 60 than at any other point in my life, which is a direct quote from a clinical psychologist from Nashville we coached, who was dating 4 amazing women around half his age after his nasty divorce. You can see him right here. And I'll talk about how he got these results a bit later. How do I know this? Well, I'm Tess. I'm a 35-year-old runway model turned men's dating coach and the boss of a bunch of other models who train our clients. One of our coaches was an Aussie swimsuit model with a big Instagram following, and she literally had to import her boyfriend from a village in Croatia because she was so horrendously dissatisfied with all the guys around her age who grew up recently in Western countries, especially in the big cities. And I bet if I gave you 100 guesses, you'd never guess the number one reason so many younger women prefer to date older men, which we should get to in the first half an hour. Now, you're probably thinking younger women just want you for your money, and I'll bet I'll get a bunch of comments from guys talking about hypergamy. Now, that is obviously true in many cases, but we've coached hundreds of older guys on just average incomes, many of whom are well and truly going grey and barely average looking, to succeed with women beyond their wildest dreams, often just out of a nasty divorce or toxic relationship. And so many of these guys already had children. So why is this? It's because you older guys have so many amazing character traits that you don't even realize are super attractive. To help me explain how the younger generation of men has been completely destroyed by society and capitalism over the last 10 or 20 years, I'm going to introduce the guy who founded Social Coach 20 years ago, 55-year-old ex-financial advisor, James McLean. Oh, and in about 30 minutes, I'll show you how you can get to practice your dating and approaching skills with me one-on-one over Zoom and get my expert coaching on how to improve with women dramatically. Welcome, James.
Hey, Tess, how are you?
Good.
Yes, 28%. Yes, I said 28% of men aged between 18 and 30 haven't had sex in the past year. This is 3 times the 2008 figure. And if you looked at it compared to, I don't know, 1973, 1975, it's horrendous what's happened to the young men in the world. Can you seriously imagine, I showed you the pictures of them just a second ago, when they're in their 20s, they're a bit older now. Can you imagine being a lingerie or a swimsuit model in your mid-20s, thinking you're physically attractive to men? I mean, you get paid thousands of dollars for it. And a series of young, sometimes high-status guys can't even get an erection or keep an erection in bed with you. This is how screwed up the young generation of men is. I was doing what I call a female trainer panel at one of my events where I get a whole bunch of my female coaches who are all models up in front of a bunch of my clients, and the guys just drill them with questions. And one of the girls told a story about how like 4 guys in a row, they just couldn't get it up. And then they all said, yeah, that happens with me all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, these are in the top 1% of most attractive women, according to Every Man. I mean, one of the girls had 100,000 Instagram followers. Yeah, I don't know if you're as old as me. I'm 55. But yeah, I remember in the mid-90s getting out my car, all ashamed. I was almost wearing a big raincoat. and I wanted to be discreet, so I knew there was a back door to this sex shop. So as a financial advisor, I didn't want people to see me going into a sex store. So I go into a sex store, and then I sort of walk in all ashamed, and I walk past this wall of gigantic, big black and big pink dildos and crazy masks and all this weird S&M shit. And eventually I get to the back, and there's what I went in there for: pictures of naked women, which was something I needed a lot because I was a virgin till late in life. And then when you finally get the things back to your house and you take them out the brown paper, you've got to be careful not to stick the pages together. And it's like, the reason I'm telling you this is, young men these days, they don't need to go through that to get pictures of naked women. And they don't just get naked women. With 2 or 3 clicks, they can see this shit that just completely blows my mind. Home invasion porn, like the most crazy, brutal S&M. And yes, so much of this, to a guy who was born in the 70s, looks like sexual assault. So yeah, younger men have been completely destroyed by internet porn. They've been completely destroyed by porn, to the point where they get a high value guy gets a swimsuit model in bed, and yeah, he can't get it up. On top of the porn, you've got social media. I don't know if you know the business story, but Mark Zuckerberg invented TikTok. But then he had some morals, and he said, yeah, this is just going to completely destroy people, particularly kids worldwide. We don't want to do that. I think he said we're going to use groups and communities instead. So the Chinese go, oh, Zuckerberg left us a pretty good idea there, and then they created TikTok. So yeah, and it's so horrendously addictive. I mean, there's a bunch of stats comparing it to smoking and all this sort of thing. On top of that, the young guys have the most horrendous, junky, horrible diet. They've grown up with this. They never actually had a chance to have any sort of proper grocer grown food, particularly if they didn't grow up wealthy. There's whatever the stuff that happened the last few years, all the stuff that they've put directly into our bodies. You've got chemicals in the air, you've got horrible food, all these deodorants and stuff. And because of all this, testosterone levels are in free fall. It's like the opposite of Bitcoin. Bitcoin from 2010 went like that. Testosterone amongst young men is going like that. And again, us older guys hopefully haven't been hit as hard as we can. It's not just testosterone. I believe average penis size is shrinking. I mean, that's not even the worst thing. The woke mob has made so many young men just self-loathing, that they basically hate themselves, and they hate their gender, and they hate their world. They think all masculinity is completely and utterly toxic. I mean, some of them, there's mass propaganda to get them to snip their whatsits off. And yeah, so what even the tall, rich, abs, young guys, if you have any idea what you're doing, I sincerely think, certainly based on my experience and my clients, you've got a pretty good chance of getting the girls you want off them, because they've just got, I'm not saying every one of them, but so many of them have so little left to offer to a woman. Tess, do you want to touch on any of those points? I know it's been a huge thing amongst the female trainers, how undesirable the modern man their age is. Just talk a bit about your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly, I just wanted to mention that of the people watching our videos, about 93% of you haven't subscribed. So if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe, ring the bell, share it with people who you might think could be interested in our content, that would help us so much. And this would also help you too, because it'll be sooner that I'll start doing more regular YouTube videos and shorts as well. So yeah, we really appreciate your support. I see a couple of comments. We've got some new people here, new subscribers. So just ring the bell, like, subscribe, and share, please. Okay, so younger men and today being destroyed by society. Okay, I completely agree with what you're saying here, James. I think that one of the biggest thing is social media. The fact that the younger generation have been brought up with social media, that's their primary mode of communicating with people in general. So they've lost their ability to communicate in person, like altogether. And it's, yeah, when people are, especially post-COVID as well, with people being, forced to isolate and all this social distancing, etc., younger generations have become more and more reliant on social media and digital platforms to be communicating, which is, if you were born in, in the 90s and earlier, we actually learned how to communicate with people face to face because we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have social media. It was just our natural way of communicating. On top of that, all the woke stuff that you were talking about, James, toxic masculinity, etc. I completely agree. Testosterone levels are plummeting, both literally and figuratively. Literally, what James was talking about with just all the toxins in our environments these days as well. I completely agree.
Yeah, Tess led me to a point. A good friend of mine, I think he's 29. He's pretty good at Muay Thai by the sounds of it. Because he's not a professional in Canada, they're not allowed to declare a winner. It's like you sit and have a Muay Thai fight, but everyone gets the gold medal. So, I mean, what hope do men have? I mean, there's no hunger or competitiveness. Where's the next Michael Jordan coming from if, you're not allowed to have first and second? I mean, the guy was obsessed, complete and obsessed with winning to the point of psychopathy, some people will say. Okay, next point. This is a huge one. Older guys will commit. Older guys will commit. If you were a tall, could you put the point 2 up, Tess? If you were a tall, confident guy making good money in your 20s, would you settle down with one woman and not cheat on her? Now, if you've been that guy, I really doubt you would. My first 2 roommates, when I got out of university, were both finance guys. They're both well over 6 foot. And both made pretty bloody good money. They're both good at sport, and they both worked as salesmen. And they perpetually had really attractive girlfriends. And one of them had a complete angel who was well and truly in love with. But that didn't stop him going out to the local nightclub and a bunch of bars, local super upmarkets, the celebrity nightclub in the city I grew up in, just running through trash in some cases. I remember he brought this girl home. It was like a bloody swamp creature. And he's got this stunning girlfriend. He comes home, vomits in the sink everywhere, and then sleeps with a girl that was just, oh my God. And this is what young guys do. Young guys have testosterone. It's basic evolution. They want to stick their seed in as many women as they can. And I've sat and tried to explain this to a bunch of my female friends and staff, and even some of my exes I'm still in touch with. And a lot of them just don't get it. I was telling Jackie this for years, the girl on the YouTube channel. And Hollywood movies continually reinforce to women, another female coach of mine, she loves this Matthew McConaughey, Goldie Hawn's daughter, whoever that is, a movie with them two. And Matthew McConaughey's this crazy player, absolutely slaying girls left, right, and center. And, Goldie Hawn's daughter's, okay looking, but she's nothing special. And she somehow sweeps him off his feet and captures his heart. And I'm just like, this isn't happening in real life, man. When, Matthew McConaughey's character is like 32 or something. If a beautiful woman who's, in her 20s or 30s, she wants to get and keep a guy around her age or even 5 or so years older, in many cases, it's pure fiction she's ever going to stop him. Even if she can get a ring on her finger, it's just so many of them will cheat. And if you ever worked in finance or been around sort of wealthy business owners, it's just cool guys who play in bands or do yoga or something. It's so hard to keep a 20-something-year-old man and many 30-something-year-old man's dick in their pants. It is really a struggle. And the intelligent younger women will figure this out about 25. They're just sick of getting their heart broken. So younger, high-value guys will basically never commit. They're chasing everything that moves. Whereas from, I don't know what the magic age is, 35 on, 30 on, 40 on. It was a bit older for me because I was basically a virgin until 31. it takes a long time to grow out of this. The other thing to consider is if you are an older guy and you've done a bit with your life and maybe you've had a few girls already, when a great girl does come along, you actually know what good looks like. As I'll get to in a second, I lost the love of my life because I didn't value her. And I could say that about a dozen other girls. I didn't realize how special some of these women were. And yeah, so older guys who maybe did career first, maybe family first, and then they got to a certain age, they got to a certain status in life, and they suddenly had women interested in them who they'd never had before. So many of these guys cheat and break the heart of a really good woman because, as a Greek hairdresser that sort of I knew used to say, I can't do the Greek accent. You should say, "Oh, don't let your sister marry some guy who hasn't, played around and slept with a bunch of girls because he'll break her heart, guaranteed." So, yeah, the wisdom of the Greek barber. So yeah, and the smart young women, they've figured out they can literally make a guy fall in love with them. He thinks he's in love, but yeah, as soon as she walks past, like, oh, so yeah, they just get caught in this endless heartache. So yeah, with me, I fell madly in love in my early 30s, and if I met this girl now, I'd have her impregnated within a year or 18 months. But I was so addicted to travel that I was in love with her, but I was so in love with travel. And it's like, I couldn't pick. And there was probably another 5 or 6 women who were amazing, who I'd probably consider marrying now, or at least having kids with. But I can so easily get other women at that stage in my life. Once I figured it out in sort of my late 30s, why was I ever going to stay with one? So yeah, you older guys, you just don't realize how much value you have. There's so much stuff we'll cover tonight that you just can't see, you're not aware of, that should give you a lot more confidence with women. Tess, do you want to pick up on the young, desirable guys being sluts? Or can you say that word? Male fellows.
Yeah, obviously, I think everyone knows that's true, but it's very different for women. Like women some women are sluts as well, but I think in general, women do want commitment from a younger age a lot more so than men. And this just comes down to our biology. The reason we want commitment is because we're kind of hardwired to understand the risk of having sex, being in a sexual relationship where, we're the one, we have to carry a baby if we get pregnant, right? So that's why we need to know, like, is this guy going to stick around? We want commitment. And that's something we look for from, as I said, it's kind of instinctual from a young age. Now, when we move into our 20s and 30s, like later 20s, 30s, that becomes very, very important because that's the most common childbearing age for Western countries now. So, and especially women, getting closer to, the pressures of their biological clock. So, yeah, commitment to women is really, really important from a lot younger age than men. And this is why when older guys are ready to commit, that is super, super attractive to us. And yeah, we don't have to worry about them just leaving us for the next best thing that comes along. So yeah, guys, this is point number 2. We've got a whole list of traits that you guys might not have realized are really attractive to younger women. I'll hand back over to you, James.
Yeah, I'm so proud of this. I think it's really going to have a huge impact if you can take these points in. Next up, we have life experience. I dated a girl in Peru. She spent 6 weeks with me. And yeah, she said it was one of the most important things in her life. I improved her English massively. She said she became so much more self-confident dating me because she just saw the way I got what I wanted in different situations. And yeah, because of I'm sort of a sales background, because of that and me encouraging her, she went from basically just doing reception work and cleaning toilets and making beds in a traveler accommodation to selling llama wool sweaters. She had a rather nice chest and a pretty face, to put it mildly, a killer ass, to put it mildly. They put her in these skin-tight llama wool sweaters, and they got her to sell them to tourists. She was sometimes making 10 or 12 times, sometimes even more, what she was making, in a hotel, selling the sweaters. And just to top it off, I got an email from her, I don't know, about 6 months later, saying, my boyfriend keeps asking me if I've done a sex course to please him, because he says I'm so much better in bed than I was last time we slept together. This is all true. So yeah, just by dating younger women, I could give you probably more substantial stories than that one. I hope that one's a bit amusing. Just by dating younger women, if you have done a bit with your life, you can give them so much. You can be the best thing that ever happened to them, even if there's a bit of pain involved. You got to remember, you've got like 5, 10, 15, 20, if you're like in your 50s or 60s, maybe even more than that, years of experience on her. You've probably done stuff with your life that she just hasn't. And it's the oldest move in the book. Young women date a man who's already successful at the thing they want to be good at in order to succeed. When I used to coach young clients, that's one of the first life advices I'd given them when I was coaching a 25-year-old or a 22-year-old. This goes back years ago. Now they coach 40s, 50s, and 60s. I'd say, man, you're an architect. Go date. You're 23. Go date some 31-year-old architect. I'll teach you how to sleep with them really well. Get her to fall for you, and it's just going to be like the ultimate turbocharged move of your career. Funnily enough, 3 guys who interned with me, when they were at university, teens and 20s, 2 are worth over 10 million now, and one's worth about 6 million. They managed to beat me after holding a video camera or opening the door for guys at my events. The other thing you can do if you're an older guy is you can introduce them to some, people they wouldn't ordinarily meet. If you're a decent older guy and you got some friends, some cool friends. You can really open lots and lots and lots of doors for them. Another example, a friend of mine, he introduced his girlfriend to me. And yeah, she was hot and she was bubbly and she was sweet. I said, you should go become a sales rep in finance. You'll make more money than you could ever dream of, much more money than if you're a model. So I found out later she did that, and she was earning, I don't know, this is in the 90s, early 2000s. She'd have been earning like about 200 grand, probably still in her 20s. You can show them, you can introduce them to things. The number of books I've bought, the number of films, number of places I've showed girls. It's probably a bit wanky for most of you, but there's a great Polish director I like who did The Decalogue, which is one of my favorite films of all time. I've sat and watched that with girls I started dating seriously, and quite a few of them were crying, saying it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Another thing you can do, obviously there's been a lot of propaganda in the world our entire lifetime, but that's come full steam ahead with the young generation the last 10 or 20 years. You get some of this, for lack of a term, woke nonsense. You can really help a girl, who's got a reasonable IQ, see, what are you talking about, honey? That's just nonsense. They go, oh, okay, yeah, actually it is. Because they're surrounded by all the influences are reinforcing this sort of woke agenda, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, you can give them valuable contacts, career tips, real commercial advantages. There's so many reasons other than money, other than direct money from you or direct things from you, why a younger woman would want to date you. Some of the reasons that women want to date older men is traveling together. You've got a much more confident guy who's really secure in himself, and you can give them experiences they just would never, ever, ever have before. You can really enrich a woman's world in so many ways in a short period of time. Probably some of the greatest moments of my life when I was traveling through Varanasi in India. Probably the most incredible day of my life, most challenging day of my life too. And I was traveling with a dear ex-girlfriend who was, 21 or 22 at that time. This goes back a few years for me. And I mean, she's profusely thanked me for the experience of going through India with me years and years later. She said it was a major, major thing for, a privileged French-Russian girl who'd basically grown up in Paris and St. Petersburg and Moscow and Nice and that sort of thing. Yeah, Tess, do you want to talk a bit about older guys and their life experience? And I should have also covered how that's so dramatically different from younger guys and their life experience, but we'll get to that in detail in one of the latter points.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is life experience so attractive to us? Because it's confidence. I think that having traveled, understanding different cultures, just makes you come across as more intelligent and worldly, and yeah, that's really, really attractive. I think one of the biggest turnoffs for women, and especially because we tend to mature a little bit quicker than men, is that with dating men our own age, we sometimes end up feeling like their mum because we're constantly having to, yeah, teach them how to do things, or just, yeah, nudge them in the right direction, etc., which can become really tiring and can also just be really not sexy, not sexy at all. It's not attractive. So yeah, generally with older men, having had life experience, you've got your shit together a little bit more. You know who you are. You know what you want in life. Yeah, you've got a direction that you're headed in. You're not lost. So yeah, it makes you come across like, yeah, again, way more confident, but also a lot more grounded and a lot more stable. So all of that is, yeah, really, really attractive to women.
Do you just want to say a quick hi to the regulars and any new
Yeah.
guys before we jump into the next point?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we've got some regulars here: Landon, Jeff, Martin, Virtual. Who else have we got? Um, we've got MJ Hundy. Welcome. Hi, guys. Thanks for your comments and questions in the chat. Bernard, who's new. Anyone else who's just jumped on, say hi in the chat. Maybe say happy birthday to James, because it is his birthday today. Happy birthday, James. So yeah, everyone, we're here to answer your questions, and any comments or questions you have about the content tonight, put them in the chat. We love your engagement. Yeah.
I'm officially a senior citizen today, 55. So yeah, I think I can get the pension or something, and buy a really cheap apartment on the beach and get my little card so I can travel on the train with me young girlfriends. Yeah, and also a bit of a thank you to Elon Musk. It's his birthday as well. We're born on exactly the same day. And Elon, you're beating me by a bit, my friend. Maybe I'll catch up with you next year in terms of my life accomplishments. We'll see how I go catching up with Elon. We're born on the same day. Maybe there's something special about me. Yeah, I'm a believer in astrology. So yeah, there must be something powerful about being born on the same day as Mr. Trillionaire Musk. Thanks for the wishes. If anyone wants to wish me happy birthday in the comments, that would mean a lot, particularly anyone whose lives I've transformed. Okie dokie. Next point. She wants your baggage. She wants your baggage. Your baggage is sexy. Get this through your head. I'm not saying in every single case. We'll get to that in 1 second. Now I'll continue with what I've already jumped into. She wants your baggage. When I look around at the women I've known, and women I've hired as coaches, some women I've dated, so many of them, such a huge proportion, when they're late 20s or 30s, they will get into serious relationships with a guy who's been divorced. He's had toxic women. He's got teenage or even 20-something children. And this girl who's like 27 or 28 or 33, she will intentionally not have all the single guys who are in their 30s, 40s, or 50s. She'll literally go after the guy with the family, with the ex-wife, sending lawyers and abuse towards him. Why is this? I don't know exactly. Two reasons. I think they speculate, a bit of a wanky word, that all the good guys have already done the family thing before, even if it didn't work out that well for them. And potentially the guys like me who unfortunately didn't have a family. We're hardcore players. That's not, I desperately want to have a family, but I just haven't been able to find the women that I dated in my 30s living in Bondi Beach, Australia, which is a lovely place, but it's not exactly the home of the most cultured and intelligent women on the planet. I can tell you that. So yeah, there's really something going on there. It's not just that. I think the fact that a guy has been married and risen and raised kids and been through the hell and the torment that is, and then gone through a long-term relationship with one woman, which is really tough, dealt with the ups and downs and struggles and her ups and downs every month and her ups and downs as she goes to different ages and postnatal depression, all this. What they would have learned, not all of them, but many of them would have learned a hell of a lot about women, a hell of a lot about life. And if you look like you're a pretty good father, fuck abs, and even screw earning millions of dollars. That's one of the most desirable things that just gets women's attention like nothing else. If it looks like you've been a good father, that's one of the highest high value traits a woman could ever look for. You may want to touch on that in a second, Tess. The other thing, this is huge. Women want your baggage. Women want your relationship experience. I have blown the two greatest women, the four greatest women of my life. I could go on to the 7 if I wanted. I blew those girls. They, I think fell for me. I fell for them. Obviously I was still in my 30s, but I didn't know how special a thing is, because it's not till you sort of date a lot of girls and sleep with quite a few girls that you actually get the discernment to go, that is a high quality woman. It takes a while to get a girl as good as that. And many of you guys, when you're in your 20s or your 30s, you might have had that, but you let her go. And it might take a struggle to get her back. So yeah, and women know they've probably been disrespected and had their hearts savagely broken by a guy who they loved, who loved them, who just didn't know what good looks like. The fact that the guys had past relationships that were Amber Heard toxic, the fact the guys had past relationships that were good, she was a decent person, but you didn't quite have the material for long-term chemistry. The fact that you've had this experience, that's going to make your new relationship, the one you have with her, far more likely to succeed. I mean, when I'm in relationships now in my late 40s or 50s, I'm a completely different animal to what I was in my 30s or even my early 40s, simply because I've had some painful relationships. I've had some brilliant relationships. I've made a whole bunch of mistakes and I've learned from them. Now here at Social Coaching, we've got a dozen Tessas, plus me and plus my approach coaches, and we're trying to help share our experience with you to really cut that learning curve dramatically. And we do that. But still, to go through it yourself, even with our help, where we accelerate your journey, is going to mean a lot. And the big thing about this from a practical perspective is when a girl does get, 27, 28, 29, 30, where she's like, I've got a biological clock, and it's not done, but it's ticking. It's really ticking. So many of them, if they date a guy their own age, I mean, this is a writer downer. So many women, if they date a guy their own age in their late 20s or 30s, they're concerned, they're scared, even if it's only subconsciously, that this guy, they just can't get him. They just can't nail him down. They just can't make him commit. Even if they do get him impregnated, they just can't necessarily get him to be that committed father and be loyal to them, because it is pretty hard when you're in your 30s and you've got some options. It's pretty hard to settle for one girl. It is really, 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 really tough. So, and yeah, the other thing with having experience, particularly in the 2020s, you got to kiss quite a lot of frogs, given how savagely women as well as men have been brainwashed and destroyed now. So yeah, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to have the discernment, the ability to tell what's a good girl, what's a bad girl. Because I can tell you there was a hell of a lot more dateable girls probably in 2015 and 2005, let alone 1995 or 1985. There's a hell of a lot more dateable girls in America, Canada, Australia, England, Sweden, Holland, Germany, etc., than there is now. Yeah, I could. I mean, just there's a half Japanese, half German girl. There was just these incredible women I got to have in my life in my 30s and early 40s, who I just did not take seriously. And yeah, I will not make that mistake again at this stage. Tess, do you want to cover some more of that? How it's almost like having an insurance policy against heartbreak, and you're leveraging so much relationship experience in terms of being a much better boyfriend long term.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the relationship experience is worth a lot. And yeah, I mean, what you were saying about men with kids being sort of pre-selected by other women, that's something that is super attractive to women. You know, like when women see a man who's great with kids, it's like, ooh, who's this guy? You know, and even when a woman sees a guy with his kids, you know, I have friends who have young kids who say that every time they're at the park with their kids, that yeah, women are just constantly like giving them signals and yeah, giving them so much attention because as I said, yeah, it is that pre-selection that women we're just drawn to that. It's like when a man enters a room surrounded by, you know, if he was with like 2 or 3 women with him, that would draw a lot of attention from other women because he's been pre-selected by those women, right? So like, oh, who's this guy who all the other women like? Okay, so it's same with who's this guy who's got kids? Like women have decided that this guy is worthy of having kids with. So so yeah, that does draw a lot of attention. I think the relationship experience as well. Yeah, it's not only about stability, commitment. It's also about sexual experience. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about an understanding of female psychology. So all of this stuff really, these are the things that women test for when we're coming into a new relationship. So for older guys who are kind of presuming have a lot of these things, or more of these things, the testing would be nowhere near as harsh, I think, or at least, yeah, we'd be getting what we were looking for. So yeah.
Thanks, Tess. I'm just trying to cover the lights in the background. Okie dokie. So yeah, I think Tess said something at the start along the lines of if you could you fix the thing up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you worried about getting old and grey and being alone in your 40s, 50s, and 60s? Can you fix the frames up?
Yeah.
Or worse, just settling for an okay woman and she goes all toxic and takes half your assets. Potentially you've been out of dating for a while and your confidence is way down. You may be sick to death of dating apps and bars. Maybe you've got approach anxiety and you're scared of rejection. Maybe you're a busy guy who's got very little time to invest in the skills and date enough women to actually find a good woman. Yeah, coming to these YouTube lives, I look at other people's videos, their headlines and what they do for thumbnails, and sometimes I'll watch a bit of the video. We've been coaching for 20 years and done virtually nothing on YouTube. All our time and energy has gone into doing, you know, a boot camp every month with all these hot girls and then changing the lives of like 15 guys. We're not really marketing experts or YouTubers. So I think we really have vast amounts of experience, particularly all these hot girls I've sort of trained and who train you guys. So yeah, watching us on YouTube is amazing, but if you want like the most insane results per hour invested, I'm going to show you how to get it. Now, this is what do you call it? This is a word from our sponsor. So if you don't want to hear the word from a sponsor, just hit whatever forward a few times and we'll be back to the usual programming. And finally, a big one for many of you is you're just not really that attracted to, you're 55 and the idea of a girl close to your own age doesn't really turn you on that much. So if any of that applies to you, this is how you solve your problems. This lovely woman, former catwalk model, has morphed into an insanely good dating coach for men. And how we start you off is you go on a date with her over Zoom and you practice approaching her and she'll give you life-changing feedback. The goal of this is to identify and eliminate mistakes you've made that have held you back with women your whole life and will continue to hold you back if you don't do something to fix them. It's going to help you beat 95% of guys at approaching dates. Interesting enough, female psychology, and we'll give you a written step-by-step action plan within 24 hours for you to implement, whether you never look at us again. If you just knock off the first one or two things on this list, your life will be totally different. I promise you that. We've been doing this 20 years and Tess has done thousands of these things. Yeah, this is something we charge $14.95, as in $1,500 on our website. This kept Social Coach going through the madness of the early 2020s. And we will literally, we've got a ton of other female coaches. You can see some of them there. We've been doing this for 20 years, hundreds of boot camps and workshops. These are some of the trainers you can see. And yeah, so this is the process. Firstly, we ask you to sum up your life with women. We want to find out where you want to be. If we coach you, where do you want to be 3 months after? Big one. What do you need help with? What do you perceive are the things that are holding you back? And we try to help you with this. Then you do the approaching and conversation role play. You do the dating role play. You'll get personalized expert tips that Tess will give you exactly for you, your circumstances, your goals. We'll answer all your questions and you'll have that plan within 24 hours. So that's it. Dating diagnostic or date and expert feedback with Tess. Why do we do this? We do a bunch of these and some guys legitimately are so pumped. Many guys are legitimately so pumped about what we're doing for them. They decide, hey, I could do with a bit more of that. Some guys go, nah, man, thanks for the 45 minutes. This is really life-changing. And then they show up to all our YouTube lives. But yeah, it's just something we give away for virtually nothing. To help guys and also to onboard some clients, some great clients. It's a very good way to get them. So not $1,495. Natalia's another girl who does this. She's amazing. They're all models. So we can now change your life on Zoom after 20 years of doing it in person. So yeah, all that happens is we have a quick chat and then if it seems like a good fit, we just charge you $1 just so you don't stuff us around. We can refund $1 if you really need it. So yeah, that's what it is. If you're watching the replay, you'll see a link in the descriptions and chat. Just click on that link. It should take you to a place where you can put your details in and we'll be in touch. It's something you do have to apply for. We unfortunately can't take everyone, particularly for YouTube blowing off. So yeah, we've got events coming up in Australia. We should be announcing US dates hopefully later in the year because we're exploding at the moment. Dating diagnostic 101 with the wonderful Tess, and we'll be doing this 20 years. You can see me there in very bad. How did this guy get laid in those jeans? That is a true miracle in itself. But yeah, I've been doing this 20 years, a long, long time. And yeah, this guy, we might move on. This guy, we got the most insane results for. I think Tess talked about him in the start. These are the girls from his training. Okie dokie. Can you get the next point up, please, Tess?
Yes, I can. So here we go. Number 5, emotional maturity of wrinkles.
Okie dokie. Yeah, I think this is a really good one, guys. Okay. If you're 40, you've survived a bit. Young guy, I mean, I know myself in my 20s, you know, I lost a job or whatever. I didn't want to do something I thought was dodgy for as a salesman. So I sold nothing, and funnily enough, they fired me. The people who did sell the stuff that was dodgy got into a lot of trouble. But yeah, I remember those few months where I was unemployed because I had to basically leave because I was not comfortable with what they were selling. And those 3 months I was unemployed, I think I've got no self-worth if I don't have a job. So what happens with young guys is that they think one little sort of tragedy or one little crisis can just completely knock them off course. But once you get into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you've probably had 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 of these things, and you realize, oh, life's pretty shit now, and I've got some real challenges. But yeah, stock markets go up and stock markets go down, except when they keep printing money endlessly. But anyway, we might see about that. The other thing is hopefully, if you're watching this and you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you're a little bit calmer, you're a bit more relaxed. You're not quite as highly strung or crazy as you were in your 20s. Yeah, I mean, a story about me. I was probably about 29, and I went out with my best friends to a bar, and one of them, a girl he'd just broken up with, was in the bar, and he, this is in his player days, and he had to leave me. We went to the bar, the two of us. He had to leave me to deal with this girl who was freaking out on him. And he came back, whatever it was, half an hour later, because he left me because I was pathetic, and I was standing there in a bar, I probably knew 1 or 2 people, but it was like I was just terrified. It was like I was in prison for the first night, terrifying. Something horrific was going to happen to me involving penetration of a certain orifice. I was just terrified being alone in a bar, like there was going to be some serious physical damage come to me. So yeah, that's how pathetic I was. I couldn't even just say hi to someone around me. I just sat there at the time and chain smoked and drunk. And then when he came back, whatever it was, 20 minutes, half hour later, he goes, "Oh, so sorry, man. I just broke up with that girl and she's freaking out." I start tearing strips off him for leaving me alone in a bar. And I'm like, and then that was like something that our friendship sort of drifted apart after that, because the young guys are so immature. You might not do that, but you do other stupid shit when you were young. Yeah. When you're young, you haven't made any money. You don't have much self-worth. You're so dependent on just one thing. That's your entire self-worth. You probably haven't had the time to sort of pick up some hobbies, to travel, to read literature, to establish yourself in career and financially. Let's be clear about that. To do stuff like meditation or ride horses or whatever, collect stamps, whatever the hell you're doing. You've probably read some more books, you've seen more movies, you've had more friends, you've got more life experience. Yeah, it's just there's so much, and just the emotional maturity to deal with life's ups and downs. When whatever the media gives us this latest crisis, whatever's going on. I don't want to say in case the world's going to boil in a year or whatever. All this stuff that is just thrown at us, and the young people are like, ah! You're like, oh, well, we sort of had all this sort of thing, whatever it's the ozone layer, or the Russians are going to nuke us or something. We've had these fear things before, and yeah, for most of us, life kept going. So yeah, there's just so much maturity. I mean, one of the great lines of all time is, "If age only knew, if youth only could." So yeah. Hopefully you got a bit of life back in you if you're watching it. So yeah, women value that emotional maturity as well as life experience so much. Tess, do you want to add to the emotional maturity of older guys? I should say we're not completely going to town on younger guys. I have coached some young guys who are some incredibly impressive men for whatever reason, a very hard childhood, maybe a very, very privileged childhood. So yeah, there are some incredible guys in their 20s and 30s, but the majority of them, particularly with the wokeness of the last whatever period, they're not really dateable to a slightly well-adjusted woman in her 20s or 30s. Tess, do you want to follow on from this? The emotional maturity of Wrinkles.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, a lot of women, we really we're really attracted to men who are grounded and know how to deal with, you know, just keep their cool when shit hits the fan. They're problem solvers. They can, you know, yeah, just be emotionally stable and mature. And you know, especially for women who are a lot more at the mercy of our hormones and emotions, it's really important for us to have that stability in a relationship. Like it's something we really look for in terms of like balance in the relationship, right? So it is super super attractive to us when we're like, oh wow, this guy, yeah, he's mature, yeah, he's just grounded, he knows how to deal with problems, he's yeah, he doesn't freak out, you know, he stays calm, cool, and collected, and he's confident. And yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is something that a lot of younger guys really, really lack. So yeah, this is I can't like this to me is a really big thing. It is so attractive when a guy is a good problem solver and can keep his cool. So yeah, this comes with you know, everything else we were talking about tonight kind of links into this as well. The life experience, you know, having relationship experience, etc. It all kind of adds to your emotional IQ and maturity. Yeah.
Yeah, the wisdom that you get from, you know, living on this earth for a period of time is it's just, I mean, we're so drawn to real wisdom. I mean, we read all these old books. There's so much stuff we do to sort of get near some real wisdom. So yeah, for younger women, it's amazing, particularly emotional security, because you got to remember we're in an age where, you know, this is something Jackie, one of the main girls on my main YouTube channel, the one with the rather large chest, the brunette. Yeah, she talks a lot about how, like a lot of women, she is a little bit up and down emotionally. So one of the most attractive things to her is a guy who's emotionally secure. And she's dated models. She's dated quite a famous Australian athlete. So she's talked about how she'd trade all those looks and all those abs and all that fame and all that money. She also dated quite a well-known businessman. She'd trade all that for a guy who's just really emotionally stable. He's like her rock. So when she's like, woo, 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 yeah, she states beautifully how important that is to her. Tess, would you like to get stuck into the questions?
Yeah, sure. A few comments and questions tonight. Say hi, guys, or add your questions in the chat if you're new, or if you've any questions about the content that we've presented.
Thanks, Landon.
A few happy
Thanks, guys.
birthdays.
Just jump in. Yeah, thanks for all the happy birthday wishes. There's a whole bunch. I'm 51 and women in public give me openings. Good stuff. Good to hear. It will happen all the time. Oh, okay. You just reminded me. I've been working at the library because the hotel I'm staying at the moment is not very good for work. So yeah, today I saw some big cheekbones and just big lips. Soviet. I don't know how old she was, probably 27. And she walked up and I looked up and she was looking over in my direction, partially because I'm somewhat well presented compared to the average American Aussie guy. She walked in my direction and, you know, I've instinctively trained, this is a big tip, I've instinctively trained myself, attractive girl looking at me, smile. And I've got like a really terrible small mouth, bad teeth, overbite, smile. Yeah, the other thing about me is when I smile, I show my age because the skin around your face ages much quicker than all the other skin. Anyway, trivia you don't need to know. If you hang around models too long, you fucking start talking about this shit. Anyway, so yeah, I give her a big smile, and then there's all you know, human spacing. You know, if you go on if Tess is sitting on a bus, if she's sitting on the back seat of a bus in the corner and there's a bunch of free seats around her and I come and sit directly beside her, what's the word that hot young girls have for that, Tess?
Creep.
Psycho. Yeah, well, this girl did that to me. Now, admittedly, I smiled her. I gave her an invitation, but like I'm sitting using dictation, preparing tonight. I'm stressing about a few things, got a wee bit of tech problems. It wasn't my fault. And she just comes and sits beside me. And then because I've meditated and had a lot of sex in my life, I could feel this sort of weird, awkward energy. And then she sits, and she was so hesitant about sitting down. It's because she basically approached me. It was an invited approach. She looked at me. I looked back and gave her a small smile. Then she came and cold approached me, essentially. But I didn't have time to talk to her. I was stressing out, trying to do a good job for you guys. So yeah, and I could feel her sort of dying on the inside and being all nervous when I sat down. So I'm trying to work, and it's just like her nervousness was just frying me. I'm probably quite sensitive to this thing. If any of you guys can understand what I'm talking about, where you can feel someone who's really nervous or really unsure of themselves, or someone who feels rejected, if any of you guys can relate to actually feeling that, I mean, you Newtonian physicists, materialists who don't believe anything exists unless humans can measure it, will call me a hippie wanker. But yeah, if anyone can relate to that, I'd really appreciate you saying here. I just love to know the audience I'm talking to. So as it turned out, I just had to go, listen, I wanted her to just piss off so I could get back to work, even though, yeah, pretty much every one of you on this call would have slipped her one if you got a chance. And yeah, I just turned to her and said, listen, I don't know if you want to sit there. I'm going to spend all time dictating. And she's right beside me. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, very, very important. Yeah, women, and I don't know. I was in the library a couple of days ago, and there was a girl young enough to be in a school uniform, and she was there with her boyfriend. And I know, because I'm supposed an expert. I am an expert at reading signals. She was constantly looking over, and she walks past with her hips flaying. I would not have touched that. Partially because it's jailbait, partially is just immoral to be dealing with that sort of thing. But the point is, young women are attracted to older men, even the ones where it's a situation we should never ever follow through, or you're going straight to hell, do not pass jail. So yeah, I mean, I'm dressing well, and I'm dramatically better at reading signals than the average guy. But yeah, this sort of thing happens to me all the time. And if you guys present yourself okay, I pretty much guarantee it will happen to you all the time, but you just can't see it, which is why one of the first things we teach our clients is conversation, date plan, conversation style, and then reading signals and date plan. They're the first sort of 4 things Tess does with you. So, because there's opportunities everywhere you can't see. And so many of them are really young, the stuff we're talking about tonight. Tess, do you want to get onto the questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look here. We've got a comment from Martin. I met a girl in the last week, and we had a great warm conversation and some light banter and humor. I asked her out tonight. She said no, that her work would frown upon it. She studied opera singing at uni.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, the fact that she was really engaging with you is very positive. If she's at university, I think Martin's in his mid-50s. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there, but sometimes I've asked girls quite a bit younger than me out, and they've initially said no with some sort of lame excuse, and then I've just continued the conversation, then said, "Oh, I got to run." This is a great tip. And then continue the conversation for 5 or 10 minutes and go, "Oh, it was so nice to meet you, Tess. I'll get a run now." Yeah, I know you're working, but if you just tell me your number, I'll remember it for about 20 seconds. I'll put it in my phone. How about a quick cup of coffee? I really enjoyed chatting to you. And the number of times she'll go yes, and you'll get a date with her. So often when a woman comes up with some excuse why she won't go out with you, that's a woman's test. She wants to see if you're man enough and smart enough, as in pre-selected by hot women enough to actually realize it's a test. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. So yeah, you're clearly mid-50s and you're getting girls who are at uni. I dated an opera singer one time in Boston. That was quite an experience for a guy who loves classical music. Next question, Tess.
Comment from Bernard. I'm a new subscriber from Georgetown, Delaware, near Rehoboth Beach and Boardwalk. Welcome. I'm happy to have you here, Bernard. Okay, another question from Martin. Do you think older men have more or less competition than they did 20 years ago?
Less, nothing, zero. It's like World War II, and all the other men are away fighting, and whatever. You had a dodgy ankle or something, and you didn't have to fight, and you just left with, you might be a wuss and a pathetic, whatever, war avoider, but you get all the girls. Women need male company. Every so often they need something inside them to sort of clear out the cobwebs. And you're the only guy. It's everything we've talked about with young men being destroyed by society, destroyed by porn, destroyed by social media. Plus, some of those red pill guys have convinced a whole bunch of you that every single woman is as toxic as can possibly be, which is absurd. It's absurd. It's like saying, yeah, every single woman's just this vicious gold digger. 100% of the 4.5 billion women on earth are just toxic. I mean, I don't know why you believe that. So many guys have just checked out completely. I mean, the family court system's helped. The modern the media's helped with the sort of depiction of men in movies. It's never, ever been easier. I'm not a particularly good-looking guy, because I have a bunch of injuries. Just did my ribs and just broke my ribs and a big toe. I'm as skinny and pathetic and frail. I've even got a little skinny guy, a little pot at the bottom of my gut, which is my stomach, which is unusual for me. Women are showing me so much interest. Sure, I can read the signals. There's zero competition. There is zero competition. There is zero competition because of the factors I've named. While I'm on my soapbox, we now work from home, many of us. We nearly all shop from home. We watch movies and comedy and concerts from home. Many of us exercise from home. A lot of people have their big screen TV. They're doing yoga or doing some of the CrossFit, whatever they're doing on that. It's like, and we socialize from home on social media. It's like the world, the guys who presumably watch me, who grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, even 2010s, it's a completely different world. And that has meant that the opportunity, the dating and sexual and romantic opportunities are just unprecedented. They're completely unprecedented today, which is one of the most exciting things. If you guys just learn the basic skills we teach, there's a few things to learn, but you don't really need to learn much. As a business coach I follow says, if you invest 40 hours, just 40 hours in any skill, you've pretty much flown past 98% of guys. I mean, I know I did maybe not even 40 hours of boxing lessons, probably way less than that in terms of one-on-one boxing lessons. I can't fight for shit, let's be clear about that. But I developed a pretty fucking savage punch that could really hurt someone who couldn't fight. Put me against a guy who could fight, I'm in trouble. And so many things I've invested a small amount of time and got incredible results compared to the average population. And that's essentially what we do for guys. Actually, quick story. So many of our clients, they go back and, they're getting dates. They're doing a lot better than before. Their friends are just going, oh my God, Steve's taken drugs or something. He's taken the pill from the Limitless movie. You should have seen him approach this like smoking hot girl, and she liked him, and he got his phone number. And his friends are just blown away by what he can do. And he's like, yeah, but I haven't banged her yet. He's complaining that, he hasn't got the sexual result when he's getting dates. So, it's astounding how far you can come so quickly. Just on the boxing thing, I can't fight. But a couple of times I've been punching bags in front of friends or other guys, and they're like, oh, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't mess with James. He'll fuck you up big time. I'm like, no, I wouldn't. I'm hopeless. I'm terrified. I'm useless. I've got like hands that are even smaller than Donald Trump's relative to my body. But just a small amount of training can get you massively outsized results if you want to book a date with the lovely Tess. Thanks for the question, Martin. Next question.
Question from Landon. What stops most older guys from even trying with younger women?
All the bullshit we're trying to counteract tonight. The fact you've been married, the fact you've got kids. For many of the best women, that's attractive. The fact that grey hair is just a no-go zone. There's a word in the language called salt and pepper for a reason. So many of my female coaches, they're assessing a guy on the boot camp, doing his feedback in the boot camp, like, oh, salt and pepper, salt and pepper, salt and pepper. They say that with the same enthusiasm. It's like, oh, Brad Pitt abs from the Fight Club or whatever the superhero, Troy. Yeah, every culture, most other societies, young, desirable women are going after older men. It's just we've been brainwashed not to. Tess, do you want to, I suppose you're not a man, it'd be hard for you to add to that. Just fear of rejection, fear of humiliation. If you don't have any skill, that's a realistic fear. But if you've got just a little tiny bit of skill, you can really leave so much of that fear behind. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I mean, I'm a professional dating coach. I can remember 2 instances of a girl really calling out my age in a savage way. And one of them on a boot camp when I was standing beside a guy who was clearly late 50s, when I sort of jumped out and aggressively approached her, she ended up following me around the whole night after. What I learned from, I suppose, one of my mentors was he was tiny. He was like 5'7". He had the biggest nose and he weighed 48 kilos, which is about 100 pounds for you Americans. And he was the ridiculous. I've never come across any dating coach in the world that I know of who was as good as him, including this one. And yeah, whenever he walked up to girls and he was so aggressive and he got rejected, he'd immediately just walk up to girls younger, hotter, taller, more glamorous than them and talk to the other girls straight after being rejected. This is one of the best lessons I got in my life. Then once he got in with another group of girls, he'd turn to girls who rejected him and he'd go, and he'd smile at them. And then some of them would come after him and try to hunt him down. So yeah, fear. What's Tony Robbins say? Fear is false evidence appearing real or something. Yeah, you do need some skills. Once you have those skills, it's extraordinary. Tess, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I think you covered that really well, James. Yeah, what is stopping guys? Maybe also the age thing, yeah, fear that they're too old as well. Or yeah, I guess it is, yeah, it really just comes down to fear. So yeah, I think especially for guys who have just come out of long relationships, potentially toxic relationships, they've just been out of the game for so long that it's like you're jumping in the deep end, so I can understand why there could be some fear there.
You have nothing to fear but fear itself. I don't think that was a line of Winston Churchill's. It might have been Martin Luther King or something. So sorry about the poor Winston Churchill impersonation. Anyway, I'll leave my Winston Churchill impersonation for later. Never before in the history of human endeavor has so much been owed to so few. That's about the Spitfire pilots in World War II. Next question, Tess.
Question from Martin. The world of dating is broken. People are very unhappy around the world. Women crying that men don't approach, incels, etc. Yeah, more like a comment than a question.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think this is just a brainwash, a psyop, if you want to call it, where I think they're just doing everything they can to destroy men and women, to drag us apart, potentially to destroy the family unit. I mean, partially to increase taxes, get us working harder, make us more insecure, make us more dependent on consumption, conspicuous consumption for our happiness and our perception of our mate value, if you want to sound like an evolutionary psychologist. It's profoundly broken. It's so. I mean, I could debate with someone who's a really good health expert. What's more important in the world, particularly the Western world, America, the diet, which is spreading to Europe and certainly Australia and even a lot of third world countries now. What's more of a crisis for humanity? The the health problem, which is largely a nutrition and a soil quality problem, or the social skills and since your relationship problem. They're both fanatically bad, and we've got all these other things we're worried about. But yeah, that's what's really going to kill humanity, I think, or humanity's going to run out. Yeah, and again, that's why you need skills, because I believe in big cities like Sydney or New York, it's like more than half the women in the last year they've taken what you call them, SSRIs, antidepressant medication or anti-anxiety medication, and pretty much every guy's on ADHD medication. It's horrendous. Tess, do you want to add anything to the broken people?
Yeah. Women women crying that men don't approach. It's huge. It's huge. Because women don't like approaching. We like to feel desired. We love the feeling of having a guy, especially who we've sent signals to, that we want them to approach. When they actually come over, it's like just shows a lot of confidence. I can't tell you how many stories of just frustrated single women just feeling so let down, going out trying to get attention from guys and not having a single guy who can come up and just say hello. That's what's happening in today's day and age. It's really sad. It's really sad.
Do you have any stories that come to mind?
I mean, this is not long ago, actually. A couple of weeks ago, I was visiting some friends out of town. I was going to a wedding, and one of my friends who's only recently single, actually, but she's been wanting to get out there and meet guys, and she's a really high quality woman, and she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful, like the kind of woman who she's like a head turner, and she's just like, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. I'm like trying to get attention from guys, and no one has the guts to come and say hi to me when I'm like out out at a bar or whatever, just trying to get some attention and meet some guys. It's just really sad that men nowadays don't approach, which means if you have the skills to do so, you are just going to be so far and beyond above every other guy because you're actually doing it, for one, but you're doing it with skill. So it's just sad.
Oh, it's horrendously sad. I mean, the saddest human being you'll ever meet is some really accomplished 36, 38, 41-year-old woman who, did the degree, she traveled around Europe, she got the corporate job, she worked her guts out, she succeeded, she's got the whatever little Mercedes Benz, or she's got the beautiful inner city apartment in a cool suburb, and she's got all the whatever the Chanel handbag and the Christian Louboutin shoes, and she's got the cool friends, and she's holidayed in St. Bart's or whatever the hell it is, but she's got no man, and she knows a handful of guys she might have had in her 20s, she's never going to get them again. And she's either got to make this staggering compromise in what she thinks she's worth, which most of them will never do. Most women will never happily marry down in terms of income or education. And she's just a wreck. And I've had some girls, if I tell them I'm a dating coach, I don't usually do, I've had girls just fall to pieces on me. It's just that they feel like they've just been completely scammed. And then you go to third world countries, you see women there who are be popping out like 5 or 6 kids before they're like 25, and it's just like they're so much happier. Now, I can sort of poke fun about how women have been scammed. I've been scammed more than fucking anyone. I left a career in finance where I would be completely minted, like not Elon Musk, but tens, potentially even getting into 100 million if I'd really built my advisory practice and scaled, which I could have easily done given I was doing pretty huge numbers in my late 20s. But I left it essentially because I sucked with women. And I've put so much of my life energy into trying to attract super bright, super beautiful, fairly young, perfect fertility age, tall, mentally well-adjusted, super interesting, super sexual women. And I wore condoms most of the time. And one of the most remarkable ones who I did actually impregnate, she aborted without telling me. So it's like I've put all my life force in, and to the best of my knowledge, I don't have one kid. I mean, I'm the prize idiot of all time. Can you imagine how brainwashed I've been to do that by the family court and blah 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 blah, and sort of as more educated people looking down upon people who have kids young. Yeah, it's just one big scam. Anyway, I fell for it worse than anyone. Next question, Tess.
Yeah, question from Landon. Won't young girls see men who are willing to commit as nice guys and hence be turned off because they usually go for the bad guys?
That's quite an intelligent question. There is some truth in that, but not really that much truth. If you're a nice guy, you're a nice guy. That doesn't necessarily mean you won't commit. You might argue a nice guy is far more likely to commit than a bad boy who's got lots of options. But as someone who's been in love, to be properly in love is a pretty special, pretty unique thing. And I don't think being willing to commit to a woman who is psychologically sound and there is real love there and she's supporting you, and you take the masculine role in the relationship and she takes masculine dominant protector role and she takes the more sweet, feminine, loving, caring role. I don't think there's any shame in being willing to commit, particularly if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s already. You could argue for a guy in their 20s, that could be a turn-off. Because all the women just want to chase as hard as they can and eventually catch, just like all the romance novels and silly Matthew McConaughey, Goldie Hawn's daughter, whatever her name is, movies. Tess, do you want to add to that? I mean, are guys who want to commit automatically seen as nice guys? I don't think that's fair and reasonable. I can see where the thought comes from, but I don't think it's fair and reasonable.
No, I don't think that that commitment means you're a pathetic nice guy. Like obviously women are attracted to guys who are nice, but if you're talking about nice guys as in the pathetic nice guy who's just puts the woman on a pedestal and is at her beck and call and just has no boundaries, is always going to be that, that's completely different. That's not related to commitment. Let's say, like, you can still be not a bad boy or a guy who comes across as being desirable in a relationship and in a committed relationship long term. You don't become a pathetic nice guy as soon as you start to commit. That's not how it works at all. So commitment is something that women are most of the time looking for. And so how do you do that without being a pathetic nice guy? Well, you just have your own hobbies, your own friends, your own direction in life. You don't necessarily just say yes, 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 whatever, honey, all the time and do whatever she says all the time. Like you've got to have your boundaries. You've got to have things that your own passions in life. You've got to have you've got to have your own beliefs and your own life outside of just your life with her. And that's how you don't become the pathetic nice guy. You still become that attractive, desirable man.
There is some truth in it, in that nice guys are going to be far willing to commit to far less than a much more confident guy. But the point is, you don't commit too early and you don't commit without the girl earning it. that's probably the real point here. Now I think about it and listen to Tess. If the girl knows she's earned it, because you do have a very special connection. There is a magic when you're together, or you've been able to take, a long holiday, and you've gone through ups and downs in a relationship, and you've worked it out, you've come through strong. If you're committing at that stage, rather than, oh, she's got nice tits and a pretty face and she sucks my dick and she doesn't completely suck the life out of me, she's a keeper. If you're actually committing with some discernment, I keep using that word tonight, I don't know, I've got it locked in my brain, then I don't think that's judged harshly. But you're completely right. Nice guys, some girl who touched their dick or go on a date with them, they're ready to commit. Oh, yeah, a girl paid attention to me. This is my wife. Anyway, next question, Tess, please.
Yeah, a few happy birthdays. Happy birthday, James. Happy birthday.
Sure.
I don't see Elon doing this on Sunday nights. What a loser. Happy birthday, Slippin' Jimmy. I don't know where that nickname came from. Slippin' Jimmy. Happy birthday from Martin. From Landon. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being with us here on your birthday, James. Okay, here's another question. Anthony asks, do you believe you've grown into a better partner than you used to be?
Oh, like unambiguously. And that's really the subject of tonight. Just everything, emotional maturity, recognizing a good woman so I don't screw it up, learning the discipline to keep my dick in my pants where I do get something really good. And the thing is, when you do have something really good and you're happy with it and she's beautiful and having regular sex, it's so easy. You get lots of easy opportunities with other girls. You need a bit of maturity and discipline to go. A bit of an anecdote from me. There's probably been 6 times in my life where I've met a girl. I'll give you a practical example. I was studying acting in New York, and I met a model who was from a very wealthy family. I think her dad was some sort of lobbyist. And she'd made pretty good money modeling, but she didn't want to be a model. She wanted to be an actress, and so she was studying acting in Soho. And we met, and we just hit it off like that. And she claimed she had an IQ of 144, which, given her background and what I experienced, what was not something unbelievable. And we had this connection, and we hooked up straight away. Thanks, I was very promiscuous at the time, and we had incredible sex. And I could tell she was a bit nervous because the sex was really amazing, and it was so good. And I mean, she left that night. We agreed to meet the next night, and I'm like, oh my God, this is one of the truly, truly great women of my life. And the 2 or 3 great women of my life, I'm saying whatever, girl's name. This is going to be the next one. This happened to me a few times. And then the next night, she's meant to meet me, and then she's like half an hour late, and she's 40 minutes late. And eventually I call her. I go, where are you? She goes, oh, I'm still at the bar. And I'm like, I'm quite a busy guy. I'm studying acting myself. I might not be as good as you. And so we talk for a while, and she goes, oh, do you want me to come around now? And I'm like, not really. Again, it makes me look really needy, female psychology, women's test wise, if I just go, yeah. And the other thing, she was drinking, so I don't like having sex with girls who are drinking, because I've ripped them to pieces sometimes and given them bad UTIs and sent not 1, not 2, but 3 girls to hospital after lots and lots of SCX. So yeah, I didn't want to sleep with a drunk girl, particularly given our first experience was so beautiful. So anyway, we agreed to meet the next night, and then she's late, and then it's just, she turns into this freak show, nutcase, toxic, testing, so insecure. And then anyway, a couple of hours, an hour or 2 later, I'm trying my guts off to get her out of her clothes. And when she came to my house that night, no bullshit, that was one of the sexiest things I've ever seen in my life. She had lily white skin, she had perfect legs, sweet face, and she wore these little tiny boy shorts with a bit of her bum hanging out, and she had this like tight singlet with no bra. And then she showed, anyway, I sound like a grew anyway. Then she had a tiny bit of her waist showing, and then she had, smart girl glasses and a bit of, it was insanely hot. She must have spent some time putting that outfit together to just kill me. And anyway, I tried for whatever it was, an hour and a half, 2 hours to get her out of her to get her out of her panties without crossing any lines. And I just gave up. I couldn't be bothered. Anyway, she's getting knives out of my kitchen and walking around with them. And here's me a few nights before thinking, this is one of the great women of my life. So yeah, you learn so much about women when you kiss some frogs. You have some ups, you have some big downs, and you have some really scary surprises too, because when a woman goes nuts on you, it turns into a stalker. It's scary. So yeah, I've grown into a massively better partner on pretty much every metric you can ever imagine. Yeah, and if you do my health stuff, you can still stay up without the little blue pills for hours and hours and hours in your 50s. I think I probably did a 5-hour one in my early 50s. Probably not many, but I did a bunch in my 40s. Tess, that's not really a question you can answer. Just the way you deal with conflict and the way you deal with ups and downs. It's like you're a completely different human being from your 20s and 30s. Emotional maturity, everything we talk about tonight. Next question.
Yes, we have a question from Abi Jitsin Savaya. WTF are you guys doing? So we are here telling you guys, older guys, what is attractive about you to younger women, some qualities which you might not be aware of or fully understand, which are really, really attractive. So that's why we're here today. Yes, welcome. Next question.
I think you might be one of those, what do you call them, people? Troll people? We're actually teaching particle physics. It's particle physics with Tess and James. So, yeah. F equals M times A. I remember that from my physics studies. Next question.
Question from Landon. What's harder for you, meeting women or keeping the right one?
This is going to sound big-headed. I've never been dumped in my life, so I've never had trouble keeping them. If you said keeping the right one sane, that would be better. I've never had trouble keeping them. Meeting them is quite easy for me, which, given I'm doing YouTube live on how to meet and date women successfully, you'd hope it is. Even at 55, I'm having no trouble meeting much younger women. What is problematic, given I sort of didn't really work in my 30s and got spoiled shitless with women from 33 countries and fell madly in love and fell madly in awe. What is problematic is meeting women I can see real relationship potential with. Because one thing I've learned from my life, if I meet a girl and it's good for 6 months or a year, or I'm mainly with her because she's really hot, or I'm really with her because she's bisexual and there's threesomes involved, if I settle for a woman, particularly for wrong reasons, they get really fucking nasty on you. So I do really want to meet the caliber of woman I was meeting regularly in my 30s, and properly settle down. So yeah, none of that's hard for me. Meeting super high quality women, particularly if you live in Bondi Beach, Australia, which isn't known for a whole bunch of Nobel laureates in physics or literature or anything. Can someone just ask AI, when was the last Nobel laureate that grew up in Bondi Beach, Australia, swimming at icebergs every day? I don't think there's too many. I've dated women from Moscow and St. Petersburg and Paris and New York and slightly more intelligent places. A few Ivy League girls, one girl who went to Oxford. So a few PhDs and a lot of master's students. So they're not really hanging around Bondi Beach as much as I'd like. But there's some cute ones there, let me tell you that. Next question. We might get some more Tess-centric questions. There have been very James-centric questions tonight.
Okay, Martin's saying I have a friend who is 60 and is horrified that I'm hanging out with 20-year-olds, freaks out at age gaps. He said to me, would Spielberg hang out or date a 20-year-old?
Well, Al Pacino is. So is Alec Baldwin, I think. These girls might have got into their 30s. Great directors, let me think. I mean, Orson Welles, the greatest of them all, he dated an Eastern European woman, I don't even know, 40, 45 years younger than him when he weighed about 300 pounds. So I don't know. I mean, again, if you're 60, probably a good age for you, if you're sort of got a lot of energy and you're really healthy, and you're sort of emotionally stable, a good age might be sort of 30, more likely 35, 40, 45, 50. So 60 to 20 is a pretty big age gap for any sort of serious relationship. I'm not saying it can't happen. Spielberg, I don't know, but didn't he meet his wife on Raiders of the Lost Ark or something? Or one of those movies? I'm pretty sure he married the star of that. And I don't think it was because of his bulging biceps or his whatever, or his aftershave advertisement model face. Yeah, I don't know how to add to that. Tess, did you want to say anything?
No, I think obviously I've met you, Martin. I've worked with you a couple of times. Martin, you have like you have more energy than a lot of young guys that I know. So might just be a personality thing that makes you actually appealing to 20-year-olds. But yeah, I'm not denying that that is quite a big gap. I actually wasn't aware that you are who's 60. Oh no, your friend is 60. Yeah, I didn't think you were in your 60s, Martin. You definitely don't look it. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, so moving on
I
to the
don't
next.
think there's any problem hanging out with them. I don't think the woke people have outlawed that. I'm a huge advocate, and I teach my clients, you want to have friends from a wide variety of ages. If possible, you should be friends with people other than your parents who are 85 and 90, who have real life experience, particularly people who've been through the Great Depression. Because, I mean, or been through like world wars, because they have insights into the human condition that we can't even begin to fathom. And equally, you want to have friends who are a lot younger than you, particularly in this AI world, because they're going to share stuff. You don't just want all your friends to be your own age. I think that's quite a narrow life. So good on you hanging out with the 20-year-old girls. And when you're out with your 20-year-old female friends, and some pretty cute, sexy 35-year-old sees you with all those young 20-year-old girls kind of paying attention to you and giving you energy, guess what she's thinking about doing to your Watson? She's thinking about maybe putting it in her mouth. Pre-selection. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay. So Anthony is asking, when was the last time you felt genuinely confident walking up to a woman?
As long as I haven't been huddled over my computer, and it's a socially intelligent approach, I would usually feel pretty genuinely confident. We unambiguously teach the skill of cold approach on our events and boot camps. That's one of the first things you do when you work with Tess. But just like my example today, I'm not about teaching cold approach. You can get amazing women through cold approach, but you usually get them through what I call social engineering. I gave an example of that just today, just 3 or 4 hours ago, where a girl walked in with huge cheekbones and big lips, who was probably somewhere between 25 and 30. I'm 55. And she looked at me, and I think she might have noticed me because I'm quite well, I suppose I'm better presented than the average Australian guy, particularly on the Gold Coast. That's a sort of rednecky, typically rednecky or bogany area of Australia, rednecky being more the American, or chav for you English people. I don't know the German term for redneck or chav or bogan. And I looked at her, and I'm quite programmed I try to present myself reasonably well in public. And as soon as there was eye contact, I programmed myself to smile. And I smiled. And I wasn't expecting her to come and sit right down beside me when I was frantically busy. But I meet women through social engineering, not like cold approach pickup. Now, it's easy for me to say to you guys on YouTube, just trying to do an approach. But yeah, there's much smarter ways to do it than running around the street, hunting girls down, telling them they're cute. I know that does have value in terms of getting over your approach anxiety, but I've had clients who've done hundreds. I mean, one guy who flew from, can't remember where he flew from. I think he grew up in Massachusetts. He flew to Sydney to do my boot camp. He'd done events with other people. And he said he'd done way over 1,000 cold approaches, and his pickup artist style hunt girls down the street cold approaches, and his close rate was tiny, even though the guy's 6'6" and a retired Stanford lawyer. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with it as long as I'm warmed up, as long as I'm not stressed, and as long as I'm stuck sitting on my computer all day. That does make it much harder for me. I do need to warm up. If I come across like some proper New York hot agency model, like hot girl from St. Petersburg or Moscow or Budapest, if I come across one of them who I don't really interact with very often in Australia, there can be a little of a, whoa, okay, would you have a look at that? That might that would be something that might, I don't know if it'd stop me, but that's something that would like, whoa, okay. I haven't really been exposed to this for a while. That might put a bit of nerves in me that might not normally be there. But again, this is a huge fucking tip. This is where these questions are so good. I answer a question. I might go on a bit of a segue and give you a huge tip. If you want to be successful with women, you don't want to get rid of all your approach anxiety. Let me repeat. If you want to be successful with women, you don't want to get rid of all your approach anxiety. Because I've hung out with, I've become friends with some of the, iconic day game guys. And yet they'll approach, the 32nd woman that week, and there's not a hint of nerves. They're just sort of going about their business of annoying girls in the street. And I think there's something weird about that, where a girl, who's really attractive, some guy comes up to her, there's not a hint of nervousness because he does it all the time. She's like, something wrong with this. And I think women mistake or interpret some of your nervousness on approach for sexual chemistry. It's like, oh wow, there's some electricity happening here. Tess nodded and agreed with that. So yeah, and I've had so many experiences of this with some of the famous dating gurus I've known. The ones who are actually dating gurus, not YouTube gurus or internet marketing gurus, but the guys who've actually gone out, approached a bunch of girls, and sometimes done a lot of boot camps. There's a bunch of them who really have no discernible approach anxiety. And I think beyond a certain level, that works against you. It's like you want to be Elon Musk, but then you get there and then you realize whatever you need, drugs to whatever, stay sane, go to sleep. You've got to have like 8 huge guys. You got to wear bulletproof vests or whatever. You sort of worship these people until you become them. A lot of you guys would love to eliminate your approach anxiety altogether, but I personally, hopefully a fucking expert at this, I don't think that's going to help you. I think you might be able to clean up a whole bunch of average girls or slightly above average girls, but I think you'd really struggle with the beautiful girls you want, who aren't used to guys coming up just completely, not even a hint that women's much stronger perception can pick up nervous. Tess, you nodded quite aggressively to that. So could you really talk from a former catwalk model's point of view about your perception on that?
No, I just agree with the a little bit of nervous energy can feel like it's equating to sexual tension or sexual chemistry. Absolutely. Because if it just feels completely platonic, like you're asking a question for, I don't know, just to make casual conversation, she receives it as platonic, right? So she's kind of just like, oh, okay, well, this guy's not interested in me, he's just having a chat or something. But yeah, when there is that, when there's strong eye contact, a little bit of nerves, but you're still coming across in a confident way, then yes, that does come across as sexual chemistry. It's hard to really describe what that feels like, but I know on the receiving end of that, what that's like, you know. So I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
Practical story. Yeah, having some degree of anxiety is required if you want to get hot girls. I was on a boot camp. This goes back a long, long time, 2008 or something. That's how long I've been coaching. And one of my students pointed out, like a 5'11", just incredible body. She'd just come from yoga, and she was in the literature section of a bookstore. And I'm like, oh, I hit the jackpot. So I go over, and anyway, this, I could tell from behind, this was something pretty special. And anyway, and she had beautiful silky hair. And I walk up and I just touch it ever so gently on the arm, and she turns around. I was probably a bit nervous doing that. I'd already done a dozen approaches or more on the boot camp. I wasn't really nervous approaching women, but approaching something of those dimensions. Then she turned around, and oh my God, she had a face like an angel, like truly she just glowed. Her hair glowed, her skin glowed, her eyes, oh my God, I was like besotted straight away. And I'm like, oh, and I kind of sort of might have fumbled out. So what was the last great book you read? Which I'd asked so many girls before. And then it was clear that I was shocked when she turned around how beautiful she was. And, you know, I was probably a tiny bit nervous going up to her, but I was a lot more nervous when I saw that face. Fuck. And, you know, she didn't really have a push-up bra, but, you know, I could see she was proper model skinny, but she had a bit of a rack on her too. And I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. So, I mean, I was a level of nervous just talking to her for the first time. But, you know, whatever, I'm a professional at this, and I made through it. And then she started talking about books, and I said, oh, what was the last great book you read? Anyway, Catcher in the Rye is one of the iconic American novels. According to critics, I don't think it's that good. But the guy who wrote that wrote another book called Fanny and Alexander, or Zoe and Alexander or something. And she said she just read that recently. She said that's the most amazing book. And she probably spends like 3 or 4 minutes discussing the book. And I'm just sitting listening going, oh my God, this is my next wife. This is my wife. Because I was, wow, just to meet a girl like this doesn't happen often. But yeah, I was on a boot camp, so I probably only talked to her 15 or 20 minutes. I got her number because I had the responsibility of my students. I went away thinking, oh, she's never going to go out with me. I've only talked to her 15, 20 minutes. And I was thinking about her all day. I just wanted to see her again, but I had responsibilities to my students. And then, yeah, I asked her on a date, and she showed up, and I slept with her. I think that was one of my long ones. I think it might have been no, that was the second date. I slept with her on the second date. And yeah, she was third or fourth greatest woman of my life. But yeah, I was a little bit nervous and not 100% confident walking up. But as Mike Tyson said, it's not that the hero doesn't feel nervous. It's that he finds a way to break through the nervousness and do it anyway, which is something I say quite regularly in my boot camp. I think you covered that test. We should get back to a couple of the points. We might do one more question before we get back to the advertised show. I should at this point just say a bit of a thank you. I think we've had our 2 most successful videos in a row, like 15, 20 times what we've ever had before in one case, and probably, yeah, Social Coach has become dramatically more successful in the last 2 weeks. I think I'm doing a much better job. I think Tess is doing a much better job. But it's largely thanks to you, thanks to your comments, thanks to just you guys supporting us. YouTube looks at how much activity there is, and that's what you support. So if you're still watching at the whatever it is, hour 50 mark, do yourself a favor. Do us a favor. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. When you see the live video, just leave a comment, ask a question, say happy birthday to me, say happy birthday to Tess. It was her birthday recently. Say happy birthday to Elon Musk or the Dalai Lama. Just put something in there. You can say something negative if you want. Some of them are quite amusing. I shouldn't encourage it too much. And share it with your friend and save it, because if we keep growing like this, Tess will be making shorts and longs, like regular videos herself. So will I. We'll release 1 or 2 new shorter videos a week. And yeah, I think given we've been doing this 20 years and Tess is amazing, I think we've got so much more value to add to you guys. And the other thing, please answer these questions, because it helps us do a better job for you. If any of you watching still at 1 hour 50 would be interested in joining a community of everyone who's learning whatever the open-ended questions and the female psychology and the women's tests and dressing properly and the social engineering, the stuff that we teach, a fair bit of which I think is quite unique. And certainly I'm not saying we're unique, but we're pretty rare in terms of the sheer volume of experience we had. So Tess is a hot girl. She's not just some hot girl who goes, I want to make a bit of money. I might use my pretty face to give dating advice. And whatever. She's not one of those. I mean, she's obviously a hot girl, but she's a fucking expert at this. So yeah, if you want to see more from us, it's got to be cost effective. Because I got to pay these costs and take away from other things. Then yeah, if you could just do all that shit, that would mean so much to us. We'll get to the next point. After we do the next point, I'll tell you how, if you're still watching at this point, I'll give you some of the best training in the words of our students we've ever done. I'll give that to you in a few minutes. We'll do the next point. Where are we up to, Tess?
We are
okay. This may be the most compelling of all. Would you set a female friend who is age 30 up with you in your 30s? Yes or no? Can you tell me the answer to that? I dated a girl who was a fly around the world model. Her mum had a PhD. Her dad had a PhD. I think her brother had a PhD. Her sister was a specialist doctor. Her favorite book was Germs, Guns and Steel. That was one of my favorite things about her. And she was with one of the world's top 2 modeling agencies. And she said to me, when she's 22, I rarely date guys under 40. It's very, very rare I'll ever date a guy under 30. I did it once or twice. It's just a waste of time. And I think one of the great men of her life was 53. Another guy who she loved the most, at least prior to me, she was 19 and he was 43 when she dated him. He screwed up. She screwed up savagely because she didn't have the maturity to hang on to him, and it really broke her heart. So yeah, there's so many quality women like this. So would you date yourself at 30? Given you've got testosterone running around your body, you're driving fast, you're getting into fights, you're drinking alcohol and drugs and vomiting in the morning and staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning, then waking up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. If you're probably still doing that in your late 20s and early 30s. And yeah, women around 30 really aren't that keen on that if they're anyway sensible, because they've got other things to do with their life. The death rates amongst men under 25 are obscene. Look at the travel insurance, the motor insurance stuff, or the travel insurance stuff. There's so much more likely to die or injure themselves or do really stupid shit, kill their girlfriend in the car, which I know is a big fear of so many parents, or the motorbike. Yeah, I mean, one of our female coaches when she was young, Natalia, she tells the story of going 180 this is kilometers an hour, sorry for you Americans, 120 miles an hour on the back of a sports bike on one wheel going through a tunnel where I think he'd sprayed the number plate with hairspray so that he couldn't get a ticket. And it would be hard for the little flashy camera to see the motorbike because the bike was on one wheel. 180, I don't even know if that's possible. That was her story anyway. I wonder if that defeats the laws of physics if you really can go that fast. Maybe he was doing 180, then he went up on one wheel. So yeah, young guys do dumb shit en masse. The thing about young is you get, I did, and I think some of you guys did, you get fucking obsessed. Your whole life is about jiu-jitsu or basketball or programming or video games, or worse, so many of the high value guys, the number one thing in their life is their career. I mean, when I was in my 20s, by the average standard, I was very successful. Not the guy who was born on the same day of me, Elon Musk. He kind of beat me by a wee bit, being a trillionaire before 55. But yeah, I was pretty bloody successful compared to the average non-Elon Musk person. But yeah, I just worked 60 hours a week. And then when I wasn't working, I was studying. And then when I wasn't studying, I was binge drinking. And when I wasn't binge drinking, I was recovering from an excruciating work week and binge drinking. I had nothing going for me. Many guys are sort of into hard drugs, partying, live like you're on a suicide mission. One of the biggest things, I've heard this language, closest language from a bunch of girls I've dated. Bros before hoes. Young guys, the culture is you put your friends first. You put your football team first. You put your mates, as we say in Australia, first. You put your buddies first. The girls come second, and you're looked down upon as some sort of a soft cock, or whatever the modern term is, if you take your girlfriend seriously. She's just meant to be something that you bang every now and then and get back to doing stupid shit with your mates. That's the culture of young men where I grew up, and I'm pretty sure probably where you grew up. The other thing that we've covered on other YouTube lives, they've got very little to offer women. They've got no culture. They haven't traveled much. They've got no relationship experience. They've got no life experience. They've got very little maturity. They're incredibly insecure, particularly in today's world. And yeah, young men, most of them, not all of them, they're very immature and unsatisfactory human beings. In a recent YouTube live, I talked about what a train wreck I was at 29, 30, 31, despite being very successful by most people's standards. So yeah, it's just, would you date yourself at 30? Is there any value for a Tess? A beautiful 35-year-old girl. I know I've had comments. She looks 22. Some guy said, oh, if you saw her in person, she told you she was 25, you wouldn't doubt her for a minute. One guy goes, oh, I reckon she's 22. So I said, I'll pass that little line on to Tess.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No. Yes, yeah. I am truly 35.
I reckon if you throw that line in, you might get an extra 10 or 15 minutes in your 45-minute date with Tess, if you say it sincerely at the right point. She's got the time. She's a very busy girl now. So there's very little reason for an even partially mature younger woman to date a guy their own age, unless they're like a masochist. Now, I know you get really immature women who just love clubs and drugs and doing stupid shit. But as a generalization, which applies 8 or 9 times out of 10, they generally grow out of it at a rapid rate compared to us men. I mean, guys with money, they're still doing all this stupid shit in their 40s. I know a lot of my clients were. Tess, you should have talk about you, your friends, experience dating guys their own age, the stupid shit they do, the immaturity, just wherever you want to take this. I will give you the floor. And happy 22nd birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. So, okay. Obviously, the picture James paints about a 30-year-old, it might not be all of you guys, like absolutely not. So don't feel offended. We're not saying all 30-year-old guys are drinking and taking drugs and partying till 4 a.m., etc. But there are a lot more 30-year-olds doing that than guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay, so just the comparison there, it's like I'm sure you guys can understand that. A lot of women would maybe potentially be doing those things in their early 20s, but it doesn't last very long. Especially when women are thinking about bearing children, etc. All of that stuff really changes. And again, that's just one of the clear examples of how women tend to mature a little bit faster than men. So yeah, it's a really valid point to think, like, would you want to recommend a close friend of yours dating, yourself when you're 30, maybe, in another person's body. um, uh, obviously think about what level of commitment you wanted to make to women, what level of respect and understanding and experience you had with women. Yeah, it's just basically we're just trying to emphasize that you are probably a much, much better version of yourself in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. And yeah, given all your life experience, your relationship experience, just yeah, having more direction, being healthier, and yeah, just being a better partner for what women are looking for in general. Yeah, so yeah, if you can relate to that, comment in the chats if you have any questions. Yeah. Should we move on to the next point, or should we look at some more
Maybe get a question up, Tess.
Yeah,
Please.
sure. Yeah, so we have a question here from Anthony. What's the most attractive quality a man can have at 50 plus?
I think it's probably going to be emotional maturity. I think why not ask a catwalk model who's 35, who looks 22, who's got 2 degrees, who's a legendary dating coach? Can you answer that, Tess?
Well, I just think, yes, emotional maturity, but I think that life experience comes before that, because the life experience is kind of what gives you the emotional maturity. so just to like encapsulate everything, I think that it's just life experience that yeah, it kind of, yeah, it makes you more confident. It makes you have, yeah, you've had more relationship experience, you're more cultured, better traveled, yeah, been through more ups and downs in your life. It all comes down to life experience, which is yeah, super, super attractive. And yeah, I think what James said as well, the emotional intelligence and maturity is a huge part of that. Yeah.
Oh, Tess proved me wrong again. I think Tess was right. Yeah, the emotional maturity comes from actual life experience. That's a really interesting point. Yeah, I would not add to what Tess said, because yeah, I think she's probably a more valid opinion in this than me. Next question, please.
Oh, Pat was just mentioning here, it was Franklin D. Roosevelt who said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." So thank you for informing us there, Pat.
Oh, thanks, Pat. Tess, I might just do this. I think I promised this as a freebie for you guys. I was sitting. Oh, he screwed that one up. Can you? Where is it gone?
Yeah.
I was with what most of you would consider a fairly attractive blonde woman who was in her 20s, and her job was helping people blow up on Instagram. And I told her about my business, and she's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I showed her this, and she's like, oh, she just freaked out. And she goes, oh my God, you're like the OG dating coach. I don't even know what OG meant. I had to ask AI. And what it meant by that was there was two iconic speeches that completely blew up in a channel called the 21 Convention, that were getting, mine I believe was getting 40 and 50,000 views a month for quite a while before the channel got into a wee bit of trouble with doing some pretty yucky red pill misogynist things. Apparently my speech and the other speech would probably be at 20 million now if the channel hadn't got into trouble. So yeah, because of the nonsense that happened the last 8-10 years, I've had to edit it down on YouTube, which is a tragedy. And it was a very clumsy edit because we could only just cut the end off. So what I can do for you guys is I can give you the whole thing. And also I've put on a bunch of extras for you guys. So literally over 100 men have flown from the US and Europe, like, Toronto, Saskatchewan, the north of Sweden, Moscow, Norway, Wales, to do a course where they spent way longer on the plane than they actually did on the course. And it's just because of this speech. And I've had emails from guys who say they've watched it 100 times and it completely changed their lives and thank me for their wives, blah, 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 blah. When you get 1.8 million views, you get some edge cases of guys just loving you. So yeah, I think what we're giving you here, I think is really valuable given my analysis of YouTube, but I think this will not quite as valuable as booking a date with Tess. But if you're not ready to do that, I think this might really give you a lot of gains in your own life. I do literal demonstrations of some of this stuff. So yeah, so if you're interested in getting this incredible resource, just put your email in the chat. I'll just, can you just, let me just see if I've got another slide. Can you just hop to the next question while I get the email, please? And then, as we've said, yeah, we've gone from 600 or 700 or 800 views, sometimes 400, to 15,000 and 5,500. And that's, I think I'm doing a better job. I think Tess is doing a better job. It's largely thanks to you guys supporting us, particularly with comments when the thing comes live and subscribing and sharing. So if you keep that up, that would be amazing. Tess, could you get the next thing up, please?
Yeah, the next question. Okay, Martin's asking, have you ever been tested by a younger woman without realizing it at the time?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm probably better than anyone I know of at this. That's what many of my students have said. But I still definitely get oh god. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Yes, I have. I've got to get this link up. I'll get you that link very, very soon. Okay, here we go. Tess, do you want to fill in time for like 3 seconds while I...
Absolutely. Yeah. So this one's probably a question for James. So
I'm there. Can you sing a song or something, or to give us some Chinese medicine wisdom?
Don't hear me singing. I'm not the best singer. I can admit
I sang
that.
for you last time. I sang "Wherever You Go." I'm trying to be a really bad singer. So the question was, have you ever been tested by a younger woman without realizing it at the time? All the freaking time. So often, and this happens in relationships too. I'll have an experience, and then 5 minutes later, 2 hours later, 3 days later, like, she was testing me. I didn't see it at the time. With most of you guys, with respect, would miss 99% of it. Even the guys who've already slept with 50 attractive women, you're probably only going to see 10 or 15% at the most, because women are very subtle and sophisticated. And the hotter and smarter the girls get, the more clever their tests are. So yeah, that happens. That happens to me. I catch them. I catch a lot of them on the spot and I react to them, but sometimes I don't, and I realize it's 2 hours or 2 days later. Sometimes, occasionally, I need to readjust the next time I see her to sort of swing things back. But yeah, I'm never going to get all of them. The one thing I should say about women's tests, women are testing each other relentlessly. It's not just something they test on men. I've had this little laboratory of all these models who started when they were like 23, 24, running around, competing with each other for sort of status and to get booked and that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, one of them in particular was relentlessly evil to several other ones. Just did some horrible little games and tricks and stuff, which in one case came back to bite her. So yeah, testing, subtle, psychological, manipulative games, tests is just part of what women do. Men tend to use violence or the threat of violence. Women use subtle ways of getting what they want, because they don't have the physical strength as dudes do. Next question, Tess.
Okay, a question from Bernard. My younger female neighbor who I don't know and never spoke to was intimidating, threatening, being angry and hostile, psychological abuse, and looks towards me for my first 1.5 years here. Why is this? And a follow-on
That's a great
comment.
question. Tess, do you mind going back 1 second? Do you have any can you offer anything about testing guys and how clueless they are? If you possibly find the last
Oh yeah,
question, is
yeah,
that something
sure.
you can contribute?
Yes. Testing guys and them having no clue. Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of the tests are really subtle tests, or we'll, like we'll say one thing but we mean another thing. Like we might say, so the guy might say, "Oh, so do you want to go out and do this with me tonight?" I don't like. Do you want to go out and go to this, check out this event or whatever? And she's like, no, not really. I'm not sure. No. Uh, what she really means, he's like, what do you mean? I thought you said you wanted to go. And what it really is her just wanting him to fight for it a little bit, to say, oh, I really want you to come with me or something like that. And that's like a bit of a validation test. So yeah, that's a really simple one where he might just think, okay, she doesn't want to go because she said she didn't want to go, right? But that's more like a test because she wants the validation. It's a validation test. She wants you to say, no, I really want you to go. I want to spend quality time with you or whatever, and just fight for a little bit more. So that's one where a lot of guys wouldn't pick up on that. Other little tests would be where I mean, there are so many guys. There are so many. Like just asking a woman, asking you to do things which are really inconvenient for you, or yeah, just little favors which she could easily do herself, but she's like asked you to do it for her, etc. These little tests to see how much power she has in the relationship, how much power she has over you, to, you know, how much she has you under her thumb, let's say. So yeah, I'm sure you guys, this has happened to you multiple times, and you just think you're being nice by doing this thing, but she's you know, the subtle test there is like, oh, okay, this guy, you know, I can I'm the one who's in control here. You know, I can, he does whatever I tell him. So, yeah, I'm sure you guys, that's happened a lot. And that's, yeah, that's a really bad one for you nice guys who don't realize that you're just being taken advantage of at some stage. So I'm sure that happens a lot. Yeah.
Great. You want to do the next question, Tess?
Yeah, so this was the one from Bernard. We'll go back to that. Just a personal situation here. Younger neighbor who didn't know, my younger neighbor who I didn't know and never spoke to, was intimidating, threatening, being angry and hostile, psychological abuse, and looks towards me for my first 1.5 years here. Why is that? And then a follow-on comment: after a year and a half of this, I called the state police on her.
If you give us more context, I mean, what could have potentially triggered it? It's very hard for me to comment. I mean, you might have been using a gas-powered leaf blower, and she wanted to kill you. I could give some psychological abuse to someone who's using them at 6 a.m. Yeah, I give some good psychological abuse, I can tell you. I shouldn't downplay your experience. I'm sorry. Ban gas-powered leaf blowers. The dumbest invention ever. Yeah, I need more context. I mean, unfortunately, a whole bunch of women are programmed by society to just be these complete and utter nutcases. You've probably seen the woke people, just the way they freak out about the tiniest thing, or, you know, a microaggression, all these new words that didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago. So I'd love to help you, but I just don't have enough. I mean, whatever, there's a 1% psychopath rate amongst women. She could well be one of them. Do you have any idea what you might have done to cause that reaction? It's hard for us to. I mean, even if I was a clinical psychologist, and two of my female coaches literally are female psychologists and models, it'd be hard to comment on that because we just need more of a background. What we might do, Tess, if we go on to the next question, can you keep a lookout if he gives us some more context? Is there anything you could add to that without having more context that we can do without being professional on YouTube?
No, I mean, yeah, obviously it's hard to know without knowing the reason or the trigger. So yeah, some context would help. I mean, there are some women who are just like man haters. I don't know if you triggered something in her and she just hates men in general and she's like projecting that on you. But it's so hard to say in this scenario. Like, yeah, we definitely need some more information there.
I might just give you some stories. In my late 30s and early 40s, I had just a string of bi girls. And I've got a favorite cafe bookstore. And the staff used to treat me appallingly because I managed to get on with quite a few of their customers. And I also used it as step one of my date plan. So I really loved the place. But apparently it was owned by like some pretty hardcore feminist. And they would treat me so badly for no reason whatsoever. I was polite. I bought a whole bunch of books. I bought a whole bunch of food. I introduced that place to so many people, but they just treated me like I was a pedophile murderer. They just hated me. And it's simply because they saw me, who at that stage was, obviously late 30s, early 40s, with a bunch of girls who were clearly early 20s. And then, when they saw me with two at once who, they pissed me off so much, I used to sit with them either side and just touch them and stroke one girl's face and stroke the other because I just got sick of them treating me like shit. So I decided I'd rub it in their face. And the girls loved it. One time they served a girl a cup of coffee, and we were sitting down, and the owner of the store slammed it down so hard that I honestly think somewhere between a third, maybe 40% of the coffee spilled out all over the cup, all over the saucer, and onto the tray. And then she just walks away in a huff. So yeah, sometimes you can get people just disliking you for the mildest reason. And I'll give you another example of just needless abuse for no reason. I grew up in Perth, and not the richest area. And mate, we had some good bogans there, some fucking good bogans I grew up with. I grew up around them, mate. Yeah, Cold Chisel, AC/DC. Not anything wrong with AC/DC. And yeah, a couple of times I came across Northerners, English Northerners. Now, I never did anything wrong to them. They didn't treat me bad, but for whatever reason, it might have been because my engineer father kept whatever PBS or BBC, the ABC in Australia. Pretty much all the TV we watched in our household, apart from sport, was the PBS for you Americans. So, and I probably talked with a slightly, not the typical Aussie accent. And some of the Northerners who sort of thought I was, I suppose, better spoken than them, they just fucking hated me for no reason whatsoever. And I went through life being severely persecuted by a teacher in year 6, by a cricket coach, by a soccer coach. I just got severely persecuted by these people. I did a seminar, like a self-helpy seminar, and the short Northerner guy just persecuted me endlessly, viciously. He abused the hell out of me in front of 300 people. It's lucky I'm pretty solid psychologically, because people might have done horrible things to themselves. So yeah, there's all sorts of reasons why someone can just hate you it's often got nothing to do with you. Sometimes you don't even know what it is. You might have looked like her father or her uncle who sexually abused her or something. So yeah, it's just hard to know. Talking of suicide, someone jumped off the building. Someone killed themselves from the building I'm living in now. There was police and ambulance everywhere. So yeah. So one of the reasons you can't get a hotel room anywhere with some open windows to get some fresh air, because they're scared some depressed punter's gonna see if he can fly all the way to heaven or hell. Next question, Tess.
Okay. On a happier note.
Thank you so much, Ralph. Tess, do you have any reasons why a female might just go ballistic on some guy for no reason?
No, as I said, it's really hard to say without some more context. Honestly, it's yeah, like I said, unless she was triggered by you because of something that's happened to her, or that she just hates men for some reason, and you were her outlet for that. I don't know, but yeah, it's really hard to say.
Don't use gas-powered leaf blowers. That could be what's driving the young lady nuts. You're sitting with a pink rabbit trying to have a bit of an orgasm, and you're like, and she can't focus on what's going on in her head and controlling the rabbit to get the bits right. And she's like, I want to come, and this guy's stopping with his gas-powered leaf blower. Curse him. I'm not a fan.
Yes, for anyone who doesn't know, James is quite sensitive to leaf blowers, so she could also have that same sensitivity. That's a very that's a possibility. Okay, so
more famous than me. Kate Blanchett's got it worse than me. she just goes to town on him. It's quite entertaining.
Okay, there you go. All right, so moving on, another happy birthday, James, from Ralph. Thank you so much, Ralph. Thank you. Always a pleasure to have you here. Okay, Martin says, have you ever talked yourself out of approaching a woman who was clearly sending you signals, who was clearly sending you signals and clearly interested? There we go.
Yeah, of course I have at some point in my life. I mean, before I got some skills all the time. But even now there's, I have bad days. I mean, I had some horrible things happen to me health-wise, chronic mold poisoning and lymphatic buildup. And unfortunately, that put me in a situation where I was so far behind in my business, and I had obligations to clients that I had to fulfill. And yeah, I just had to stop all dating, all anything other than do the thing in front of me. Yeah, as I shared with you, you can become exposed to like proper agency model girls, like you meet them in Soho or something, or the sort of girls you'd only really meet in St. Petersburg, Moscow, Budapest, or Riga or something. And every so often I do get exposed to them, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah, it's definitely happened. I'd be lying. I think any man who said no would be lying, unless he's one of these guys who's so completely desensitized to approaching women that it doesn't matter. I played basketball with one time with a guy who was so completely desensitized to violence. He would get the shit kicked out of him by like 4 or 5 different guys at one time, and he said he quite enjoyed it. I'm like, what the fuck? So he's quite a good basketball player, but he always wanted to pick a fight with the other team. It was like quite annoying. So yeah. So the answer is yes. And I think most men who say they haven't would be a liar, no matter how good with women they supposedly are.
Okay. A question from Peter. James, if you and the model got on so well at the beginning, why do you think she turned so nasty?
He was bipolar. That's probably number 1 on my list. Number 2 is I was pretty promiscuous at the time, and I pulled out a bunch of me tricks at one time. She got tied up and teased, and probably a little bit of me little companion in me suitcase I carry around, and I can't remember exactly, but I swear I'm sure I went for 3.5 hours at least on her, and I didn't count the orgasms, but it was a lot more than 5. I don't know if it got to 10. This was the first time we were together. Again, it's like if I play basketball all the time, I get much better at it. If you're sort of trying to meet, seduce, pleasure women all the time, you get pretty good at it and you get dangerous. So yeah, what else? I mean, we did have a really special connection. I mean, we teach a lot about sex, and I personally think we do a really, really good job of it. We don't put it front and center of the business because it's not the way I want to represent myself to the world. Someone who's made a lot of money out of sex, I don't know, basically I was the one who told him a lot of his stuff to begin with. He the first time he ever saw a flogger or used a flogger was when I lent him. Yeah, I think we do a very, very good job of teaching. And what was I going to say? So yeah, one important tip for you guys is if I meet a girl I really, really like, I'm very cautious about pulling out too many of my sexual tricks on her the first 3 or 4 times, because I've had at least a dozen experiences in my life where I slept with a girl once and she just ran away scared. And I'm texting her, "Hey, can we meet up again?" She's like, "No." And I mean, in one quite extreme case, which kind of hurt me actually, I met a Spanish model who just finished modeling, who did an MBA at Columbia while she was modeling. And now she had some amazing job flying around the world selling MBA programs for a European university. I met her and I hooked up with her, and it was very hard to break through. It took all my women's test skills. And then again, I was promiscuous at the time, so I really pulled out too many of my tricks. And then she just ghosted me for 2 weeks. And I always say, don't double text girls. I probably triple texted her in parks. I was traveling and I knew she was leaving soon. I knew I was leaving soon. I really desperately wanted to see her again. But then I get texts like 2 weeks later going, I'm so sorry, such and such came up. Where are you now? I'd love to see you again. So she eventually got the courage to see me again after I pulled out a few too many tricks at the beginning. One of the value points of this story is I ain't exactly blessed like a porn star or an NBA star. I'm not one of the world's largest men, as you can tell by my absolutely pathetic Donald Trump tiny little pathetic girl hands. So yeah, the idea that you need this big schlong to pleasure women is another one of the big things that men have just been brainwashed with. So yeah, anyway, I don't know why I told you that, but that's something a lot of guys need to know. A lot of women, and we did on a recent event, we had 3 models or 4 models up the front, and they all talked about how they'd had an experience with guys where he was just too big, it wasn't sustainable, and it wasn't pleasant. An ex-girlfriend of mine who she slept with quite a well-known actor, and apparently the guy was so large, it was almost impossible to take him. Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
Okay, so an interesting question from Martin. What's one thing you know now that you wish you'd known at 25?
About women? They're smarter than us. They can tell when we're lying. They test us, basically. There's so much. I mean, that's why I've started this job. They're not necessarily attracted to tall, rich, and handsome. They're attracted. Okay, shit, that's close. Okay, I think this is it. I might change my mind once I answer it. Women, the number one thing they're attracted to is their perception of your ability to rapidly climb status hierarchies. I knew that intuitively, but I heard Dr. Jordan Peterson and Dr. David Buss, who's one of the preeminent evolutionary psychologists, I heard them talking about it in detail. Women are not attracted to the presence of resources. They're attracted to the signs of a guy who can quickly rise up social hierarchies and get resources. I mean, like, why aren't Mark Zuckerberg and all these guys slinging supermodels if money was so important? Why does some guy who just plays cover tunes at the local bar getting way more girls than pretty much anyone else in that suburb by far, even though he lives at home in his basement, his mum? Why do you see short, old, ugly guys with really attractive younger women? It's possibly because they're used to be the center of attention. The other thing I'd add to that is, and one of the reasons women, one of the tells women know and sense to get to identify guys who can rise up status hierarchies quickly, is they're hypersensitive to where the energy in a room is going. That's why some ugly broke motherfucker who's playing, 80s, 90s cover songs gets mad pussy much better than everyone else because he's on stage, all the attention's going for him, he's potentially getting applause. Women throw themselves at him. I've made the majority of my money in my life public speaking. Women have rocked up to my seminars multiple times, and there's not been that many. And they've rubbed, and in one case, she rubbed her boobs against me. I've had my coaches rub their boobs up against me in front of my two girlfriends. It's just when you're got energy flowing towards you, you're hyper attractive to women. So that's probably the number one thing. The other thing is women are so much smarter than us. They're very different than us, and they're constantly testing. Tess, I'll ask you a question. What's the number one thing you wish 25-year-old boys were taught about women?
Wow, that's interesting. 25-year-old boys. I guess I just wish that they'd, understand women's, I don't know, I think that they should understand the need for emotional maturity and I don't know if I'd necessarily want them to know about our tests because especially when the power tests, it's important for us to know where we stand in a relationship. So if, I actually like us women having the power to manipulate men. So I wouldn't necessarily want a 25-year-old guy to know about that stuff. But I think, I guess just, having an understanding about female psychology and some emotional maturity, really. Yeah.
So you teach them about female psychology. Anything in particular you'd like to teach them?
I guess just about, I guess just being sensitive to our emotional fluctuations and I guess it's frustrating as a 25-year-old woman with 25-year-old guys, because this is specifically what we're talking about with the age differences. Like at 25, that's when it can be really difficult for women to date guys their own age. Like this is when women are starting to think about potentially kids, etc. And a lot of 25-year-old guys are not looking for that. So I guess if guys are wanting to date women their own age at that stage, then it's just being a bit more sensitive to those things and women's needs and understanding where she's coming from with why she might be testing for commitment, etc. At that age. So that's kind of what I meant by female psychology and our emotions and just having a bit more maturity. Like I said, I think 25-year-old guys are still kids.
35-year-old guys are still kids. Some 55-year-old guys are still kids. That leads me to a good point. One of the things we do in our events is we actually teach you how to dump women, and some of our private training clients, we actually role play how to dump women, because yeah, so many men who've committed heinous evil where they're with a girl who's 31 or 33 or 29, and they're too scared to dump her because, you know, they don't want to go without sex, or she's not the one for you, but, you know, she's pretty good. And you hold on to this girl for 2 or 3 years longer when you know she's not the one for you. And that is extremely evil. You guys will go on about how toxic women are to men, but you hanging in there in a relationship with a 31 or 32 or 33-year-old who clearly wants to have kids, that's like some serious evil. You might not be aware of the evil you're doing, but that woman's genes might be wiped out of the gene pool because you're too much of a wimp to dump her, or because you're so selfish or scared to go get another woman that you just want to keep using her vagina and you have a girl, so you're not lonely. So yeah, that's a huge issue in our society where women are childbearing, you know, and they want to start. I mean, if they're sensible, they want to start having kids a lot younger than they do for simple health reasons, health of the child, health of their own health, to get their body back. Like when I dated Russian girls, this goes back to 2000s, they wanted to spit them out at like 22, 23, in part so they can get their actual body back. Because apparently if a woman has kids very young, she gets most of her pre-pregnancy body back. Whereas I believe if she does that in death, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but this is what I've been told by Russian girls. I should AI it. But I think if they do it a lot later, like Western girls do, their body's just never going to recover from, I mean, the severe trauma of, you know, spitting a human head out of your what's it. I mean, that's got to be some pushing and some straining and some effort. And yeah, I mean, getting your genitals waxed is one thing. Sticking a human head the size of a, I don't know, how big is it? Size of a little tiny bowling ball out. I mean, that's another level of pain and difficulty that they have to go through. So yeah, apparently their body recovers way quicker if they do that young. Which is why I lose great Russian girl, because she wants child at 22. I want to travel world and sleep with lots of other girls, get threesome, not so much child yet. So yeah, anyway, that's an important community service for women. Don't hang out with some girl just because you want to use her vagina, or because you're too scared to go get another girl when she wants kids and you don't want kids, or you don't have kids with her, because that's evil, and you're going to burn in hell for a bit or come back as a retarded cockroach for being so mean to women.
Okay.
Anyway, off my soapbox. I meant to do this much younger. Why would you want to date younger women? This is sort of like a statement of bleeding obvious to many of you, but I think we'll have to do it. I think I went past this. I meant to. Okay. I've got a lot of experience with this. I don't have any experience doing it the conventional way. Younger women, many of them have boundless energy and hunger for life. Like so much energy. That's one of the reasons. Why do you think I look like this when I'm 55? It's partially vegetables and yoga and a lot of sex. But I think the sex has been with younger women. I think they keep you young. I can't prove that, but I think they do. The old Illuminatis believe all this stuff, but I don't go anywhere near as young as them because I reckon that's gross and evil. Yeah, when they really like you, it's so easy. I mean, compared to a woman who's older, the games just, there's a fraction. They're still there, and they're probably there at the start in droves if she's young, hot, and a lot younger than you. But the relationship I've always found is, not that I've got much experience the other way, but it just seems so much effortless when they're younger. I honestly believe from the core of my being they keep you young. I'll have to AI if they do. And you can see I've got nearly all dark hair at 55. I think that's a lot of my dating has been with with younger people. They're near, why was that younger women? They're near the peak of their beauty. A great line from an incredible TV show, Faulty Towers. What's his name? Special Subject, The Bleeding Obvious. They're beautiful. An anecdote from my own life. I was dating a girl who was bisexual, and we met a girl at a Halloween party who we kept seeing on and on and on. It was essentially was seeing her for 4 years as a three-way. There's a few other girls I saw in between, but yeah, that was my main dating was these two girls. So it took a while before I could get her to stay over. And yeah, because the young generation of men, particularly the high value men, they've got so little respect for women that they'll fuck a girl and they'll just kick her out and they think that's okay. Now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how old you are watching this. If you have sex with a girl and it's not a one night stand, would you just dump a load in her and just go, okay, fuck off. I've had my bit with you. Like the younger generation of high value guys do that all the time. It's another reason women want to date older. So I remember this could have been a women's test now. I reflect on it. The number of times I've, met a girl who's, way younger than me and whatever, we've done the business. And then in one case, she starts with putting on her bra, which I didn't want to do because she had a great set. She starts putting on her bra and getting dressed. I go, oh, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm going home. She goes, oh, why? She goes, don't you want me to leave? I go, no, not really. I was going to have breakfast with you. She's like, oh, really? You sure? Okay. Well, she takes the bra off and comes and gives me another hug. And she stayed over and we had breakfast and repeated the same process quite a few times after that. So yeah. Anyway, that should be in another section. I should have put that earlier. But if you want to know some trivia, I screwed the transcript up and I tried to get AI to rebuild it for me, but didn't do a very good job. Anyway, you don't need to know my tech problems. They want adventure and fun. This is huge. This is huge. A lot of my friends who, date women, a bit older, what are you doing on the weekend? I'm going furniture shopping. Like, well, you have fun with that. Yeah, we're traveling. We're going away for the weekend to fuck like bunny rabbits and go hiking and meditate at the bottom of the Blue Mountains with another girl. So it's like, yeah. So the guys who are dating, I was like, oh, we're taking you to antique furniture shopping, or if you're not that wealthy, well, we're going to IKEA this Saturday. I'm like, I don't want to go to IKEA. It's my Saturday. I worked hard. But yeah, it is so much. It's just fun. Obviously, they're highly fertile. I mean, I know a lot of guys and women who've been through extraordinary stress and frustration and depression when they're the other side of, IVF and it didn't work for them. The other thing, which is again statement of being obvious, it gives you enormous status. It gives you enormous status. The only reason I am a dating coach is because of a girl who I was dating at the time, who was a big time model. I didn't even tell her because when I met her, I was basically, I was helping out on boot camps after I met a guy, and I met her in front of students and then students and instructors. And then she came back on another boot camp. She didn't even know it was a boot camp, and she got to meet a team of instructors. And then it was very cold where we were. And as soon as she saw my friends, just to sort of give me status, she takes off her winter jacket and reveals like one of the most insane bodies I've ever seen in my life, like 6'1" with a huge chest and completely perfect body. And some of the long, she had a 37-inch inseam, if that means anything to any of you guys. I doubt it. And then she just basically charmed the hell out of my friends who are also dating coaches. And then, yeah, they offered me a job. The guy who owned the company could not offer me a job. He's dating a fly around the world model. You got to hire him. He's a good guy. So yeah, there's so many benefits to dating younger women. I mean, a lot of them are very, very sexual. If you've got half an idea what you're doing in bed, They're so grateful because they've never had that before. You can, even if you've got like above average sex skills, you can blow some girl's head off just doing a few tricks that an older girl who's been around the bush a few times and slept with older guys might not know. Okay, they're the benefits, and there's a bunch more I won't cover. We'll get back to helping you guys. But yeah, there's real downsides too. Yeah, you know, you can get rejected harshly at times. It's really only happened to me once. And as I said, it turned around where she was chasing me down. It might have been a partial test, the rejection. But there's other things. It can be much harder to find the right one because of the brainwashing younger women to be subjected to. And certainly, I'm not going to lie to you, when you meet their friends and family, which is going to happen if you think she's someone special, it can be difficult. I've been treated appallingly, like absolutely appallingly. I've been invited around to dinner to meet the parents and the family for the first time, and it's like, they must have thought I was literally a pedophile who murdered the kids as well. They treated me so badly. And another instance, a girl who was very, very special to me. Her mum was quite remarkable, and she'd really talked her mum up. She was so crazy about her mum. I met her mum for the first time. We go, oh, it's so good to meet you. Yeah. The girl's name's told me so much about you. And then she just turned around and she goes, it's an American accent, not an Australian accent, but it was like, yeah, she's told me so much about you too. And she didn't know I was a dating coach or anything. She just knew I traveled the whole time. Yeah, I mean, she basically broke up a relationship and broke her daughter's heart because she was just lobbing against me from the word go. And I've also had a bit of a tip: if you date a girl with a therapist, you got to get on side with the therapist, or you never get to meet. And that's a wee bit hard for me. I've realized in my old age, I'm not fighting that battle anymore. It's just too difficult. So yeah, trying to fucking convince the therapist you're a good guy who you've never met. So yeah, there's many advantages to dating younger women, but there's also disadvantages. The other thing is you can really easily break hearts, and I think you've got to have a bit of awareness of the wheel of karma with that. I think I got a girl who was lovely who went crazy toxic on me and did a lot of damage. And I think that might have been the wheel of karma paying me back for all the young hearts I broke when I was traveling and super confident. Tess, do you want anything to the advantage of dating younger women? Or would you rather let that go to the keeper? Or what do you call a pitcher in baseball? The catcher. Let that go through to the catcher because it's outside.
Yeah.
See, I know a tiny bit about baseball. I was a really good cricket player in my younger days, which is the weirdest sport of God's earth to you Americans and Europeans. 5 days in 120-degree sun, and you stand around all day. What's the point? You wear long white pants. What's the point of that stupid game? Anyway, it was very dear to me in my younger days. The Indian will understand.
That's okay. I don't play baseball, and I also don't date younger women. So yeah, I'll leave this one to you, James.
Okay, you don't have anything to add to that?
No.
You should. I'll begin my sales pitch. I've got a sales pitch to get straight girls interested in girls, which I'm really good at because I've converted a lot of straight girls. My threesomes haven't come off some sleazy dating site. They've come off largely day game. Quiz nights and meeting girls at the beach and meeting traveler girls and Halloween parties and a whole bunch of other things. It hasn't been seeking arrangement like a lot of the other dating coaches. I've never been on that site in my life. Okie dokie, so we've done that. So can you get back to some questions, Tess?
Sure. Okay, a question from Anthony. Do you think your life experience makes you more attractive, or do you undersell it?
Dude, that's an extremely intelligent question. Yes, my life experience makes me more attractive. No way, no how. If I said that, if I denied that, I'd be a liar. But if I try to promote it myself, it will very often backfire, particularly on a younger girl. They might think I'm lying. They might think, oh God, this. The thing is, if you are too impressive, women who are very insecure these days, they don't feel worthy of you, and they conclude, he just wants me for my firm tits and the warm, wet, potentially hairy thing between my legs. And then they pull the pin. You don't even get a date with them. Or you get a few dates, they go, nah, this guy just won't take me seriously. Which is why, if you've heard me talk about how to get younger women before, which you probably have if you watched any of these, so much of it is about finding younger women you genuinely think are impressive, if not remarkable, and then telling them over and over again how remarkable they are. That's been one of my big tricks, sincerely. So I'll use an example of a girl I haven't slept with, but a girl who you can see on my channel. Jackie, one of my other female coaches, she is legitimately funny. She's intelligent. She's also charismatic. But she said, of all the high status guys who've come after her, I'm the first. I didn't come after her. I'm the first guy to ever tell her that. And I mean, she almost, her face almost goes red when I say that. She's like, oh, I'm being noticed for something other than my tits or my pretty face. So it's amazing how powerful that can be. But yeah, you can't overdo your life experience. That's backfired on me many, many times. And for some of you impressive older guys watching this, you've got to be very careful with how much of your impressive life you've let out. A lot of guys just go, young, hot girl, I got to sell this girl really hard. So like, oh, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. Before you know it, the girl, you should be asking questions and listening. Before you know it, the girl's like, this guy could never take me seriously. I feel insecure around him. I'm just going to be a piece of meat and a walking vagina. I'm crazy about him. I really like him. I'd love to have sex with him, but I'm going to pass. And the other thing they feel, if you promote yourself too much, it's like, this guy's amazing. He'd never take me seriously. I'm sure he's happy to bang me a few times, but I can't face the heartache when he gets bored of me in a month or in 2 weeks or in 6 months. So I'm just going to pull out now before I even go on a third date with him. Without being big-headed, I'm giving you guys so much hard-earned wisdom. It's almost, I've been tearing my hair out trying to figure out all these mistakes I'm making. I'm just handing them to you for free on YouTube. Tess, did you want to add anything to a young, hot model girl who you meet some super impressive older guy who sort of, even if he does it smoothly, sort of shares some of how impressive his life's been, how remarkable he is, how that is a sign for even you, well psychologically adjusted, not particularly insecure younger women, how you'd basically pull the pin because it's just like, oh, well, I'm here and I got great legs and a pretty face, but he's here and I just don't think he's going to take me seriously.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the exact same thing when this question came up. I think that, yeah, it does. It definitely makes a woman feel insecure. Like, I think just the age difference in general, that in itself can make a woman feel insecure because she knows that she has far less life experience and accomplishments, etc. So she's already thinking like, oh, who's this guy? Right? So she already respects you. There's a certain level of respect just due to that age difference. But then yeah, if you're also feeling the need to like sell yourself and your accomplishments or your life experience, then yes, it can really exemplify that. But also it can like at some level, if you're like really overselling your life experience, then it can come across as a bit like an insecurity as well. She's like, why does he feel the need to be like constantly telling me about all these things that he's done, etc. That it can kind of just make you look insecure and less confident if you're pushing that too hard as well. So there's a fine line with this stuff. So yeah, I think there was a comment here from Jay Will that just came up. let the girl discover it on their own. So yeah, obviously it's great to share when you have something in common with a woman, but you definitely you don't want to be stealing the spotlight and yeah, making her feel smaller than you, and yeah, and feeling like she can't relate to you in any way because you do have a lot more life experience than her. Um, so yeah, it's you want to find commonality, common ground, make her feel valued, um, and yeah, and don't feel the need to be trying to impress her like overly. Otherwise, it devalues you.
Great. You want to go to the next question, Tess? That was really valuable for the guys. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So let's have a look. Okay, here we go. Question from Anthony. Have you ever been someone's one that got away?
Me
I can answer
personally, it's just
that.
I'll answer because I mean,
Yeah.
sounds big-headed, but yeah, probably many, many, many times. Again, I don't want to sound. I came from a sales and public speaking background. I call myself a financial advisor, but essentially I did seminars, booked appointments, and closed to manage, reasonably considerable amounts of money. So I was already very good at public speaking and selling. So the big advantage that way. The other advantage I had was I was able to basically not work for a decade. I mean, I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. So I got to do self-development, learn skills that virtually very, very few people would ever be able to do. So the success with women I've had, and my skill as a dating coach really comes from that experience. If you've ever seen the Steve Jobs TED speech, which I highly recommend, where he talks about how this happened and this happened and this happened, and it made Apple. Like I studied acting, I did sales, I traveled extensively, and I had the experience of trying to seduce a Japanese girl where you can't touch her, trying to seduce Latina girls where you got to touch them a lot, trying to seduce French girls who are always playing games, trying to seduce Russian girls who are like playing games like a motherfucker, trying to seduce a girl in Iran, literally in the 2000s, where I could have been killed for sleeping with an Iranian girl in Iran, and handling or doing it in India where you can't touch in public and it's so careful and you got to be so just all these backgrounds where I slept with girls. I wasn't just sitting in an LA or Sydney or London nightclub just running through women like a lot of other dating coaches. So yeah, it's amazing, like in the Steve Jobs speech, the way all these things connect and you become really good at what you do. And having a very, very, very excruciatingly difficult childhood because of my mother, that sort of really helped me understand some of the tools women use to control and manipulate men and how they can be used horribly. So yeah, I've probably been someone's one who got away. I won't even comment how many times, but a lot.
Okay.
Just to add, I think the wheel of karma came round and shoved something big and nasty and hot and sharp up my ass for being someone's one who got away so many times, where unfortunately, a girl had control over my business. And she got a lot of that back for the ladies. Just like a lot of guys who sleep with a lot of women and treat them bad will marry a hot woman who's tall and skinny and modelly, and then he'll have beautiful daughters. And oh my God, does he get payback? The way those women test, manipulate him, control him, and you've got to deal with their sex life in the 2020s, where the young ladies are a wee bit on the promiscuous side in many cases. Certainly compared to what us old dudes who grew up in the 80s when you had AIDS and you stick your dick in a girl without a bit of rubber, you're going to die. You're going to die, fellas. So, yeah, all legs were just slammed shut for the whole decade.
Okay.
Unlike the people who grew
So
up in the 70s who got the hippie movement, they got blessed. We got cursed. We just had to be Gordon Gekko and make money. The hippies got to have free love and meditate and smoke dope and do mushrooms and screw a whole bunch of girls. Who here grew up in the 80s? If you grew up in the 80s, just put in the chat, I got royally screwed over. I got royally screwed over. Because, yeah, sexual. We didn't get to have a teens and 20s. It got stolen from us by a certain guy who was responsible for the recent lockdown, who I won't mention. Let's go. Next question, Tess.
yeah. So a comment from James. Date myself at 30? No way. Okay, so that's quite common. Thanks for your comment there, James. Okay. Comment from Luke, at 40 is when men start to win if they've done the work and have the skills. Yeah. So again, yeah, it's so common that guys, yeah, that's when they really start to come into their own. Okay, so James says,
can you go back to Luke?
Yeah.
Can everyone just give Luke a round of applause? He was one of the guys who was on our YouTube lives and we were getting like 282 views and he was asking fantastic questions there. So, yeah, this one guy is a percentage responsible why we got 15,000 views on the last video or the second last video. So yeah, it all started with Luke and there was another one, Stella, and Martin as well. Thank you so much, Martin. I forgot Martin. So Luke, Martin, Stella, I think Ralph. So yeah, thank you so much to you guys for supporting us when I was in a wheelchair, I think. Yeah, I was in a I just got out of a wheelchair and I looked like, I don't know, some mad psycho guy in a drug ward. If you look back at my earlier ones, which I'm going to have to delete soon, Luke was there and Martin was there supporting us when we were nothing. We're still nothing, but we're sort of 10 times bigger than nothing now, which I think when I went to school, if you times 10 by 0, we're still nothing, but we're nothing plus 1 now. We used to be nothing plus none.
Okay. So yes, thank you very much, Luke. Thank you for your ongoing support. We really appreciate you. So yeah, back to this question from James. What's the biggest misconception older men have when it comes to dating younger women?
They don't want you. They find you repulsive. James is a client. You can say some nice things about Tess if you want. Yeah, I mean, James, I can't remember how old he is. He's 55. He's older than me, I think. He's 55 or 57, but he's really looked after himself. I think he's similar to me. He's got close to a whole head of dark hair. He's, you know, he probably lifts weights, which I'm not necessarily as big on, but regardless, he's kept fit, he's kept healthy, he's got tons of youthful energy. So the biggest misconception, dumb pricks like you and most of the guys watching, no offense, James, is that you're not attractive to younger women. I mean, you've got enough the guy who's asked this question, he's got enough testosterone to probably get girls getting a bit drippy whippy when he walks in the room if he looks at them the right way. But yes, so many older guys just think that they've got no value to women. And based on my dealings with him, James seems like a really good, decent human being as well. So between you look incredibly young for your age, you're a really decent human being, which women can pick up, plus the fact you're extremely healthy and you've got higher testosterone. I mean, there's definitely a lot of women in their late 20s and probably the majority of women in their 30s who'd be extremely happy to get near you. And a lot of them wouldn't quite realize how old you are. So that's the single biggest misconception guys have. They're not attractive to younger women. Now, let's face it, some guys, you know, full head of gray hair's coming at their nostril and their ears, big belly, you know, they've worn the same clothes for 3 days in a row because they can't be fucked because all they do is jerk off to porn and watch Netflix and play computer games. They haven't been laid since, you know, the Clinton administration. Yeah, there's a lot of older guys who, let's face it, they're not that attractive to younger women. But there's a lot of guys who really are, and they've been conned. They've been a victim of a big psyop, to believe you're not. And James D6Z8, which sounds like a Star Wars character, he's one of them.
Yes. In fact, I saw some young women checking out James on the boot camp, and he refused to believe it was happening. Checking you out. So funny. Okay.
You guys are so dumb at reading signals. It's like what do? We do the conversation, we do the dating, we do the style, and then it's like date, plan, or read signals. Tess can tell you exactly the order. I think it depends on what Tess thinks you need. If you're not too bad looking, like our friend James here, she's going to teach you to read signals before the date plan, because there's a whole bunch of easy approaches you haven't even seen.
Okay. Let's see where we're up to. Okay, question from Landon. James, what's the best compliment a woman has ever given you?
Jesus Christ. I honestly don't know. I need to think about it. Tess, what's the best compliment a man's ever given you? It's probably one of the clients. I don't know. I'd really need to think about it. I remember when I was a complete loser. I was starting to become successful in finance. I was a loser with women, but a cool friend of mine who was a DJ, he put my name forward, and I somehow got invited to a party of supposedly eligible bachelors that some radio station put on. Like, I was just the weird, awkward, dorky guy amongst a bunch of cool guys, because my friend sort of put my name forward and told the people about, because he had contacts at the radio station, he told the people about whatever I'd achieved in finance and sport. And so they invited me along, and like the girls were paying no attention to me, because there was some, whatever, football players and more successful guys than me there. But yeah, one of the sort of hottest sort of society girls in the state, she basically talked to me all night. And I knew I didn't have a hope in fucking hell with her. I was still a virgin at that point, either technically or close. But yeah, she was just so grateful that I talked to her. She was so nice to me. And she actually thanked me at the end, because I knew she had a boyfriend. So it was like, wow, a hot girl actually values me, because I had so little self-esteem because of a horrible childhood. And I think I've talked before how, anyway, that's probably the best compliment I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's been other ones. I mean, when the girl I loved said, "I love you," I mean, that was a pretty magic moment. Okay, the best compliment a woman's ever given me, bit of a soft advertisement for Social Coach Sex Training. The love of my life, the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. The first time I slept with her, it saw her naked for the first time, like a legit model with the most beautiful face I'd ever seen in my life. Looked at me. She was standing naked in my room, because I was kind of awkward. I mean, I wasn't too awkward. I'd already slept with a bunch of girls, but I was so frightened around her. And like, my it didn't so much as, I didn't get erectile dysfunction. My little wiener, he sort of looked at her and looked at me and my self-worth of me. And he sort of, like a snail or a tortoise or something, he sort of snuck in, and my dick actually hid in me scrotum. It literally hid in me scrotum. And I looked down with this beautiful naked girl in front of me, and all I could see was a sack. There was no sausage. It was all a sack of potatoes. So yeah, I was just a wee bit nervous. Now, you got to remember, when I was in the bath when I was 4, a certain person go, "Get your hands off of that thing, you did it!" She just fucking freak out on me. So it's just a wee bit sexually insecure. You boys who grew up in a strict Catholic or Jewish family, I kind of know where you're coming from with the "get your hands off of that thing, you're going to hell. Tell your father's going to beat the shit out of you. So anyway, my dick just goes inside my scrotum. She realized I was a wee bit on the nervous side and awkward. So anyway, whatever, I gave her a hug. I'd already slept with girls before, and I gave her a massage, and she gave me a little massage. And then actually I got the thing working. This is the first time I'd ever slept with her. It was so embarrassing. Can you imagine looking down with a naked girl in front of you and all you can see is a sack? It's like, what the fuck happened? Apparently that can happen in old people's homes when they don't really need the thing anymore. The second time I slept with her, I did a much better job, much better job. I was very lucky she came back for seconds. There was a pretty special connection straight away that I've never really experienced. I've only experienced at that level once other time in my life. And then the third time, I sort of got a wee bit more confidence with the staggeringly beautiful model I was already in love with. So I sort of, I was like stable, and I pulled out my tricks. I pulled out a few of them. She was tied up. She was teased for a long time, blah, 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 blah. We had a beautiful day leading up. I'd fasted for a good period of time leading up to the big moment so that me wiener would stay as hard as possible and thick as possible for as long as possible. And I did one of my favorite tricks I call the greatest sex tip of all time that you have to become a student to find out about. And she fucking exploded. She literally fucking exploded. And what I remember was her literally her skin was like mercury running. It's just the blood vessels on the top of her cheeks. It was like mercury running through her face. She just went red. Everything on the surface of her skin just went red. And that was the greatest moment of my life. And then unfortunately she had to leave to go off to another country to do something and do a modeling thing. And that was the happiest moment of my life. It was like, this is going to sound wanky to anyone watching me. It was literally like the spiritual people talk about. God came inside of me and was just glowing inside of me. I was so infinitely, stupendously happy, and I was so in love. I've never come close to that. Even doing ayahuasca and hallucinogenics and multiple 10-day Vipassana meditations, I'd never come near that nearest level of spiritual connection. And yeah, so the best compliment that a woman's ever given me was just her skin, just like her nose and her cheeks and her forehead, and then her neck and her breasts would just go bright red. And a lot of you guys are going to say, this guy's full of shit. I'm never watching him again. I don't know if I should even say this. She said her body felt like thousands and thousands of tiny ants. She lost awareness of her body, and she just felt her body as if it was thousands and thousands of tiny ants that made up her body. And that's what they say when you get to nirvana. You just experience your body as atoms. So I'm not saying unambiguously I did that too with my penis, but I may have done. Anyway, we'll get on to the next question.
That's a pretty good compliment. Okay.
That was the best compliment of my life. I had time to think about it. And I'm still probably in love with this girl even today.
Okay. Okay, so Martin is asking a question. I asked a 20-year-old girl about her new job, and she said a murder tour guide, and I said, that's cool. Melbourne has such a rich history of crime. She said, I don't know. I'm not that old. I'm young. Okay, so just a bit of query why she might have done that. I'm guessing that's the question.
I don't really have a good answer to that. I don't really have a good answer, sorry. If you ask more detail about the question, we'll try to help out. Tess, you want to move on if you can't offer anything of value?
Yeah, I guess maybe like her trying to emphasize that she's young might have just been if she was like aware of the age difference and she was yeah, it's like a test, like she's trying to say I'm really young or something. But yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that either. So
That's a great thought, Tess. I think I shared the example recently where I met one of those Insta models. She wasn't a proper model, but she was 23, I think, and I can't remember. I was 47 or 48, and I asked her how old she was, so I didn't waste my time. And then as soon as I gave my age, I go, I'm 47. She goes, my last boyfriend was 28, as if, 25 years and 5 years it's getting much closer. But it was really funny the way she said it with such passion in her voices. I can date you. I'm worth dating. So that could have potentially been it. She could have seen some of your gray hair, potentially liked you, and just tried to assure you that, she's not 20. Well, I mean, maybe she was 20. Anyway, next question, Tess.
Okay. Question from Anthony. What's one mistake you keep seeing older guys make in dating?
Thinking they're not attractive. Just guys get this perception like that we're 40, we're over it. We're 50, we're definitely over it. We're 60. What woman is ever going to like us unless she's in her 60s too, which is complete and utter abject nonsense. I think I talked on a recent YouTube live how when I started as a dating coach, I did like a study. I looked at all these lists of the most sexy men in the world. I looked at all the lists of the most sexy women in the world. And it was basically, Sean Connery, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. I mean, how old would I have been then? I don't know, like I'm guessing like early 40s, mid 40s. Some of the guys were quite a bit older. I think Richard Gere. And then it was just Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Adriana Lima. It was just so predictable. It was like 40s, 50s with 20s, often early 20s. But yeah, for whatever reason, whatever nefarious motives, they're really trying to stop any sort of age gap. The thing is, if you're a bit smarter than average, age gap relationships make so much sense because where you are when you're 30 and where the girl is when she's 28, you're in different universes, man. You're in completely different universes. She's like, oh, I better start thinking about getting serious with some guy. You're thinking, girls are looking at me for the first time and I got a wee bit of cash in my pocket and a nice car. I'm going to make up for all those lean years. And it's just like, it's like a tragedy for young women to think that they're going to get Mr. Right. They're going to catch him at 31. And even if they do catch him, they might not catch him for very long and he'd be cheating on them soon. I mean, if there's credible true love, or maybe they have kids and they're more interested in the kids, that could work. Or maybe if the guy had slept around a lot when he was younger and he got that shit out of his system and he loves her, it could work. But statistically, it's not something you're going to bet money on. So the big number one mistake you see older guys making in dating is they just don't think they're attractive anymore because, they've got a bit of gray hair or they can't get abs anymore. The number of guys we see who they're like, oh, I'm not attractive to women because I don't have a six-pack. I'm like, you're 52, you fucking fool. What do you think? She wants a six-pack. She'll go some guy much younger than you. She wants your life experience. She wants your relationship experience. She wants you to help form her as a human being. Tess, given you're the expert female dating coach, what would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, I think that's probably, definitely that's a big one. I mean, for me, I guess because just my immediate thought is because obviously coming from a coaching perspective, more the mechanical stuff like, conversation skills, body language, etc. I completely agree with what James said, but just to add something extra, just the typical mistakes we see with guys, not being able to connect in conversation, not listening, not eye contact, body language, touch, all of these things.
Thanks, Tess. Before we get to the next question, I went to this earlier. I just want to do a review of tonight. So 5 older guy qualities younger women chasing a man. Use these instead of money. Okay, point 1, younger men have been completely destroyed by society this last 10 or 20 years. A lot of them aren't even men anymore. They're being propaganda to sort of chop your wiener off. It's a tragedy. Porn, social media, they don't sort of, in many cases, they don't grow up, climbing trees and playing football and getting in fights. I shared an anecdote of a good friend of mine who I think is 29. He's pretty good at Muay Thai, but they're not allowed to declare a winner in a Muay Thai fight. I mean, what the fucking hell is going on in the world? It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Older guys will commit. This is the thing that Tess said at the start. We're going to give you such value. You don't realize one of the reasons a lot of desirable women from 27 and up want an older guy, it's because you're not going to break their freaking heart again. Because you have the maturity to understand this is a good woman. Another good woman just walked past there, but I know this one's good. She's a keeper. I'm not going to fuck that up because I think I've got a chance of banging her. Or because she's seen me with the hot girl I've got, she now wants to get me just for her own feminine wiles to get the guy off the hot girl. When I've dated girls, particularly models, a number of times women are after me, but I don't necessarily know if it's good. I know it's not because they want me. It's because they want the thing that she's got, because that's the way some women act. Next thing is life experience. This is long and long. You've traveled. You might have had some success in your career. You might have read books. You've done a whole bunch of stuff. You can help develop this woman as a person, which has been a secret younger women have used since the beginning of time to advance rapidly in life, particularly their career. I shared in a recent YouTube live how if you look at the great women of my life, so many of them dated men way, way, way older than them when they were teenagers or early 20s. And that's what made them so remarkable. It was that guy that trained them to be the remarkable younger women they were. When I say teenagers, I mean obviously of age, not below. That's gross. And evil. It's not just evil, it's gross. She wants your baggage. The fact you've had a nasty divorce, or you've got kids, even 20-year-old kids. She figures, you're one of the ones, like all the good ones have already been snapped up. I'm going to have to go with the guy who's already had a family. She might also really value the fact that you've had long-term relationships where you had to navigate all these crises. You couldn't just walk away if you had a family or you were married. So many of the most desirable women I know, 28 and up, I think they're opting to date guys who've already got families, who've been through the ringer with the family court and divorces. Wrinkles are a sign of emotional maturity. She likes the fact that, you've lost your job. You might have had a health problem. You might have been dumped by some crazy girl you were in love with, and you didn't go kill her like some guys seem to want to do. She appreciates emotional maturity, possibly above all else. And the ultimate question I need to ask is, would you fucking date yourself at 20 or 30 or 20 or 25 or 30? For many of you, even 35. It was really 35, and I developed quick. It was really 35 before I started to really get a grasp on female psychology. And by 35, I had a bit of a grasp. By 40, I knew 10 times as much. By 45, I'd probably 100x. So a lot of guys just never figure this shit out. Even as a professional dating coach, I'm still learning more and more and more about female psychology. In parks, I'm surrounded by Tess and Jackie and Nevina and Natalia and Val and Coda and all that. So if you've got any questions about any of these things, plus motivations for dating younger women, particularly questions about some of the downsides of dating younger women, which I was quite transparent about, we're probably going to wrap up in, 15 or 20 minutes. So if you've got any questions related to that, jump in pretty quick. Just some reminders. You can book a date with Tess if you click in the comments. I don't know how much longer this will be going for, given the way we're blowing up on YouTube. We might charge a lot of money for it. We might come up with another way to onboard potential clients. I think I said one of the reasons we do this is I just legitimately want to help as many people as I can. I used to work in finance, and I grew up poor. The other reason is a percentage of the guys who do go on a date with Tess go, this is fucking amazing. I wish I did this when I was 18. Tell me how you can help me. So yeah, that's part of the reason we do it. No doubt about that. But it doesn't mean you're obligated to do anything. If we don't blow your mind, there's no obligation to speak to us again as long as you live. The costs and the risk is on me. And the other thing is, I think I talked about how I had one of the two OG, I just learned what that word means, one of the OG dating speeches that made one young lady rather excited. That's been edited down quite a bit on YouTube because of what happened in the last 6-7 years. But I can give you the uncut version, which many guys have said that's the best thing they've looked at in their life. Not quite as good as a date with Tess, but the next best thing. So I think we put that in the comments. Tess, could you, or I can do it if you want to get the next comment up. Is it obvious that where that's pinned?
Yes, it should be. It's pinned at the top of the chat.
Oh, great. It'll be in the description anyway, and I'll try to remember to put it in the comments. If I don't forget, like I did last time, I had people messaging me going, where's that great training you talked about? You forgot to put it in there, you silly old dope. Yes, I'm
okay. Okay, so the link is definitely pinned. And yeah, if you guys scroll back a little bit, James has posted the link for the top 10 mistakes video, so you can definitely check that out.
Sure, this sort of trick piqued my interest. When James dies and his life flashes before him, given all his sexual escapades, he will have the greatest flash of all time. That's a multifaceted question. I'll take the first one. I've already died. I had that experience on something called ayahuasca. And it was freaky. And basically, your body just dumps everything, and you're like a vegetable for like a week. I don't know if I was happy I did it because it really knocked me about. So my life, I've done that shit. I've read quite a few spiritual texts, and yeah, some of the shit that they talk about, like in Autobiography of a Yogi, happened to me when my life flashed before me. So yeah, that was quite a ride there. Having said that, being in love and having good sex was still a higher spiritual experience for me than even that. Given all his sexual escapades, will he have the greatest flash of his life? Yeah, the actual mechanics of sex, the atoms inserting into atoms, if I can put it bluntly, is nothing. It's insignificant compared if you're in love and you've got some reasonable sexual skill, which is something else we teach guys, just the state you can get in. Because I used to use, I'm giving you some advanced tips here. I used to use I love you, I love you, I love you as like a mantra during sex. Like every time I went in, it was I love you. Every time we'd both say it together. We're almost like a bunch of dudes. We're like a bunch of dudes in purple or orange robes, just chanting some mantra, just floating up the astral plane closer to God or the great unknown. And I did that during sex, which is that was probably some of the most incredible experiences of my life. And yeah, I've done a bit, my friends. I've skydived and nearly killed myself in Iguazu Falls and Gorongora Crater, and you name it, I've done it. More threesomes than I can count. What else ever? I was pretty good at sport when I was young, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, let's shut up about me. Yeah, so given all these sex escapades, who have the greatest flash in my life? Yeah, I've already done that one, but it wasn't as good as sex with a girl I really loved. Next question, Tess.
Okay, question from Anthony. If money wasn't a factor at all, why do you think a younger woman would be attracted to you?
To me personally, oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, any woman who's attracted to me right now is a bit of a dope because I got kind of cleaned out by the COVID thing. I flew around the country with not Tess, but a bunch of Clara and Monique and Nevena, and did seminars. I was too fucking stupid to just do some YouTube videos. That's how dumb I am. I just targeted the Australian market. That's why you early guys are so lucky getting this service for the prices you are. I just targeted the Australian market. I flew around the country doing doing seminars and then getting most of my clients that way. So yeah, I got cleaned out. It's just everything we've talked about here. Life experience, relationship experience, especially with me. Just everything we talked about. Just every point we've said would be a reason women would be attracted to me. Understand if I get another great woman, I'm not going to fuck it up because I want to go to Mozambique or Pakistan, or because I see a girl who's as hot or nearly as hot, who seems easy to get in the sack. So yeah, everything we talked about tonight, that's a great question. This idea that it's only older guys who get younger women. I know he's a yoga teacher, but one of the guys who probably gets the most tailed in Bondi Beach is a yoga teacher. He just does a class and gets paid a set fee. It's not that much money. I don't even know how he affords to live in Bondi Beach. He's probably got some women he's banging who are giving him an allowance. It's like reverse seeking arrangement. This guy gets more fucking girls than you never imagine. Same with some personal trainers. Why? He's got insane social skills. He's crazy healthy for his age. And he's a really good guy. So much pussy. And some personal trainers I know, it's the same thing. Again, so many of you guys, oh yeah, but he's got big muscles, that's why he gets girls. No, it's because personal trainers spend their whole day chit chat. How's work? How are you going with that diet? Blah, 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 blah. They're just chatting to people all day, many of whom are women. So they get really good at talking to women. That's why they get so much women. The muscles are way, way down the list. I know some of you guys will say in the comments, this guy's full of shit. I can't believe you listen to him. But it's true. Next one, unless you want to, you probably don't want to touch that, Tess.
Yeah, I feel like this is everything we've spoken about tonight. Like, we haven't mentioned money as being one of the attractive things whatsoever. So it's really not what makes you attractive at all.
Just on that, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of younger girls who are with men, and partial reason, or all the reasons, money. But the point is that often really backfires for the older guy with money, like severely backfires. And we see all these guys come to our boot camps. But yeah, it is a factor. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I don't think it's the number one factor, particularly in long-term relationships. If you get a younger girl because you got money, you're probably not going to have a long-term relationship. As soon as she's lived with you for the 9 months or the year or whatever it is, she'll be off to see her lawyer. If she's got any brains, she's probably seen every divorce lawyer worth seeing in your jurisdiction. So you can't hire any of them yourself. This is 101 gold diggers. So if you do use money to attract younger women, it's probably going to come back and bite you on the ass, or the bank balance, or the net worth, and the sanity as well. Next question, Tess. We're probably getting towards
the end. Yeah, Jay Will says, I remember the old term used back in my day was leave them better than when you started with them. Don't hold on to them through their best years if you don't see yourself with them long term.
Thank you, Jay Will. That's very important. One of the things I tell my clients who do my boot camps, we're giving you a skill set where you can cause tremendous joy in the world. I mean, just by going out and approaching a bunch of girls, some guy approached me. They feel so good about themselves. And one thing I tell my clients to do, particularly if they're kind of good looking or even okay looking, just, as warm-up approaches, or just to get some skill going, just talk to women you wouldn't usually find sexually attractive. It might be the highlight of their fucking week if some, okay looking guy talks to a girl who's not that attractive. There's so much good karma coming out of this as well. And one of the most evil things you can do is just lead some girl along saying, yeah, I'll get married. Yeah, I'll get married. Yeah, I'll have kids with you, when you're not really intending to. And then she goes 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. For some reason, she trusts you, because women are very good at picking lies, but they're also really fucking good at deceiving themselves. I can tell you that. The number of girls where I was traveling and I just hooked up with them in their city, and I told them, you're my tour guide, and the sex is fun also. But so many of them, particularly the hot ones, particularly the models, are like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to make him stay in my city. And none of them could. Women can delude themselves so well, particularly when there's their romantic ego involved. I mean, some girls tried to do that when they were sort of my tour guide and the sex was good, but we didn't really have that much in common other than the sex. And they were showing me their city, but they still wanted to get me. It's like crazy. It's like us guys wanting to win at something. They want to win with men. So yeah, definitely karma. The wheel of karma is real.
Okay.
Tess, did you want to talk to that from the woman's point of view? Do you have any? You must have a girlfriend who was sort of dragged along by some guy and then just dumped when she's 34 or whatever, and she hasn't really got time to find the guy she wants, and it was just a really horrible situation he put her in.
Yeah, I have a couple of girlfriends in that situation. Yeah, kind of lost some of their best years for sure in long-term relationships. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I struggle to think that there was like malice in that sort of stuff. I think that, I don't know, maybe I just see the good in people, but I think that men who do that, it's like, it's not just because they're being selfish and the sex is good. I don't know. Maybe they thought that at some stage down the track they might be ready to have children or whatever, and it just didn't eventuate. But yeah, maybe they were just in denial. I don't know. But yes, I have seen that happen for sure. Yeah.
Tess is such a good person. She's even defending the guy's motives when I think in many cases they're very aware of what they're doing. I know quite a few situations like this where I've gently said, man, you know, karma, man, you got to be careful with your karma. And they're like, yeah, but you know, I've just got to do this project at work, and then once I hire this person, or once I do this, or once I do that, or once I move back here, and then I'm like, oh God, karma's gonna get you. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, when you told me that, when you asked me what the biggest compliment someone's given me, I was thinking really hard, and then it was actually when someone told me that I never say bad things about other people, and that's like a true indication that I just see the good in people, because it's not just like I do it intentionally. It's like I struggle to do that. So I thought that was really nice. That made me feel really good about myself. Because I think I do. I think I do see the good in people. I like that about myself.
How did you become that way? That's quite interesting. And some of your fans, if we can call them that, were like, we got 15,000 views to one video. Aren't we a big deal now? 15,000. Anyway, the guys appreciate you. How did you become that way? That's very rare. Women are usually really good at seeing the bad. They can pick up the tiny little bit of bad, and then they'll fucking stick it in there and they'll tear it apart and they'll cause as much problems as they can. Whereas you don't do any of that. How did this happen?
To be completely honest, I'm sharing quite some personal stuff here, but I think it probably comes from my upbringing, and maybe a bit to do with my relationship with my father. There was definitely some turbulence there. It was pretty tough actually what I went through, but at the end of the day, I think from a young age, I also felt like empathy as well. I think I just feel empathy. I think a lot of women are naturally empathetic as well. So, even though you might disagree with the way a person, someone's actions or what they might say, or the way they treat you, I think I've always had a bit of empathy for like what their situation is, and that's probably just been a coping mechanism for me as well. So that's probably where it's come from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a really good quality. I mean, I've given this feedback. She might even take it too far. So, but yeah, it's a good thing
Yeah.
to take too far. Let's get to the next question.
Okay. Let's have a look here. A question from Landon. James, when you approach beautiful young women, do you always aim to have a relationship, or do you ever just go in hoping for a one-night stand?
I was effectively a virgin till 31, so I've never been a one night stand guy. I've had a bunch, particularly as a dating coach, and particularly traveling where opportunities come up. I've had a bunch, but I've never really gone in looking for a one night stand. I mean, on my scale, I haven't really gone below 7. Like the second girl I slept with was like a 3, but I hadn't had any. Even if you count that I slept with the first one, or the first girl I slept with properly would have been a 3. Um, so yeah, I'm not someone who I didn't have any skills. I didn't have any luck with women in my 20s. So I'm not a drag girls back from clubs, or these days just get some whatever desperate girl off an app. That's really not my thing. I mean, again, why would you come to Social Coach? I don't think there's very, very few legit dating coaches in the world, like tiny number. But the ones who probably are, a lot of them are volume dudes. Like they really want to sleep with hundreds or thousands of women. I don't know how much they care about quality, and a lot of them just get so much of their sex off apps and teach that, which I don't know if you're going to get a really good relationship off an app. So I've never ever intentionally done the one night stand thing. It's happened. I mean, so many times traveling, I've got an opportunity with a girl who's pretty cool, and I take it. I mean, in some cases, I've actually gone back to see these girls, more than one. So, I mean, again, your questions are where so much of the value is. Your questions test nice stories. When you approach a woman, a beautiful woman, there should be zero thought in your mind like, oh, hey, I'm going to say hi and find out about you. That should be the only thought you have. You should not be thinking forward to sex, whether it's a relationship or just one night, because then you're projecting sexual interest. Then she's basically crossed you off the list, unless your name's Leonardo DiCaprio. So when you approach beautiful women, it should just be like you're approaching a guy pretty much. There might be a bit more touch. It's like, hey, how you doing? Or if it's a situational one, it's like just whatever you do. There should be not a smidgen of thought of sex going through your mind. I guess that's one of my secrets that you've fleshed out with the question. No sexual intent, zero sexual intent when you approach a woman if it's cold. Again, there's nuance with that. Like what I'll often do is where I'll do what I call invited approach pickup, where I see a girl maybe in the supermarket or at a grocery store or even on the street. Just like my story I started with today, where I saw a girl walking into the library, and I just look at her and I smile. She was too close to actually look her up and down, which I would have done ordinarily. And then she just came and sat beside me. And then she was really upset when I said, sort of hinted, you might want to move away because I'm talking. I think she felt like savagely rejected, because I could tell she was just like dying inside when I said that. But I had to get back to work and get her sort of weird energy. Is he going to talk to me? Is he going to talk to me? So yeah, I'm not really a one night stand guy. I mean, I've had dozens, but I don't set out to do them. I mean, if one comes along, I mean, yeah, why not? But I mean, so many of the one night stands I've had have ended up seeing him again. Not all of them. The other thing with one night, I don't know if I should say on YouTube, you can get some unpleasant surprises from just random one night stands that sometimes involve you seeing a doctor. So you don't. I'm not a big fan of doing too many of them, and don't think the little rubber thing protects you against all eventualities. So yeah, I've probably slept with quite enough women for one lifetime already. So yeah, don't project sexual intent ever. There are examples where you project sexual intent where you see a girl walking past and you lock on her, something I think I'm very, very good at, and then look her up and down, then just ignore her and wait to see if she hangs around you. Then you do a very low-key approach. So I'm projecting sexual intent there, but it's not so much sexual intent. It's like, wow, you're beautiful. I say that with my eyes. You got some really advanced coaching from your question there, Landon. Next question, Tess. Tess, did you want to? There's so many James-centric questions today. Could be just my birthday.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, no, this isn't a question for me. All right. Here's an interesting question that's come up. History asks, welcome, History. You've been a bit quiet today. Welcome. Do you keep your open-ended questions only on positive emotions, or in what ways do you let her talk about negative aspects? Like, tell me what you did not like about X, or what was your worst experience doing X? Good question.
That's a really excellent question. That might be question of the night in terms of making me think, apart from the one about what's the biggest compliment a girl ever gave me. I would tend to keep the negative. I wouldn't say never do it, but I'm trying not to dwell on it or really flesh it out. You want to probably stay a bit more positive. One thing is, if you do meet a girl and she's constantly going down the negative path, that's a great sign you might have a bunny boiler. For you guys old enough to remember a Michael Douglas, Glenn Close movie called Fatal Attraction. That's where his wife was out of town. He picked up some girl, did the business. His wife comes back. The girl couldn't understand the word no, and she felt it necessary to torment the guy. Apparently she got pregnant. And then she boiled his daughter's bunny just to make it clear that she won't go away. So yeah, if you get girls who are constantly quite negative, there could be a bunny boiler. Early in my day, I met a girl who had a stupendously lovely set of boobs, and she was Swedish, and she was interesting. She was somewhat charismatic, and she was smart. And I went out on a couple of dates with her, and she sort of played too many games, and I couldn't break through. And eventually I just got to this point where I'm going, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. There weren't very many other options around where I was because I went traveling with her and there wasn't many other girls around. So we were out and I was with one or two of her friends and I tried to take her back and she goes, oh, just wait. I'll be back in half an hour. And I just got to the point where I said, enough is enough. So anyway, I pulled the pin on sleeping with her, possibly because she was testing. And then the next day she woke up and I was living beside her, and she woke up and there was a guy who was nowhere near as attractive as me, who was a bit toxic and a bit weird. She'd slept with him and then she spent two or three nights fucking him, and a slightly better guy than this guy came along and she hooked up with him. And she treated the guy she slept with immediately after I sort of washed my hands of her. She treated him appallingly. He was basically railing on what a psycho bitch she was, even though he'd been chasing her like I was. But he got to bang her, and he just said it's one of the worst human beings ever. So often if girls just stay on the negative too much, it's a sign you probably don't want them. So yeah, that's one thing I would add to that. I think that is about it. So yeah. So again, just a quick. Is there anything else you haven't answered, Tess? Just a quick thank you.
No. Yeah, that's all the questions. I did want to mention something about this question though.
Sorry, Tess. I apologize if I'm cutting you off.
No, that's okay. We've gone a bit over time. That's okay. Quickly, because this is kind of what I do as well, like a lot of the conversation stuff. So Yeah, I think that focusing on the positive is a really great way to building early rapport. Obviously, getting her talking about something that she loves in a positive way is great, but I think there's definitely a place for asking questions like, oh, so what do you not like about that? Or if she says, oh, I really hate this thing, and you just go, oh, why do you hate that? That, you know, it's also just like that's also a feelings and emotions question, so you're just getting to know her on a deeper level, you know, why she feels certain ways, which is good. But yeah, again, maybe not for the very early part of rapport building. What was your worst experience doing blah blah blah? Again, you might get a really cool story out of that. You know, when people ask me questions like, oh, what's like the scariest thing that's happened to you when you've been paragliding? I've got some pretty good stories to tell. So it's not necessarily a bad question. You can get some good stuff out of more negative aspects to different topics. But yeah, I think that sticking to more positive things for the early rapport building stage is where it's at, probably.
Fantastic. Let me just fly through what we covered tonight again. 5 older guy qualities younger women chase in a man. Younger men have been destroyed by society. Older guys will actually commit to a relationship. That's the thing. So many of you just it's like such a piece of information for so many of you guys. You've obviously got life experience. She wants your baggage. The fact you've had relationships before, potentially a family. That's what attracts so many younger women from sort of 27 up to 40 to older guys who have had a lot of baggage. It's not necessarily bad. You've got emotional maturity. I would say this is possibly close to the number one. Because, yeah, young guys, they're so immature, they're so insecure, they just don't have any perspective to judge events in their life, and they can just be a bit lost, particularly in a world today where someone is stuck to social media and porn. And yeah, the ultimate question: would you date yourself at 30 with, you know, alcohol, drugs, immaturity, bros before hoes, and all that sort of thing? So yeah, I think there's still nearly 30 of you guys here live. And there'll be thousands and thousands watching. If you've made it this far, if you could do us a huge favor, the guys live, if you could just comment something as soon as the video goes live, which will happen on YouTube almost instantaneously. That's a gigantic ask, because that's a signal to YouTube that the actual live video, which is where we get all the views, we get like thousands times more views. That's the signal to YouTube that this is good stuff. So if you can make a comment when it goes live, and again, like, subscribe, ring the bell. If you've made it this far, if you could do us that favor, that would be awesome. I sincerely think we've shared so much good stuff with you tonight, in part in relation to your questions. So yeah, as you say, the more we grow, Tess will be doing proper, whatever, 10-15 minute videos. We'll start to do little shorts with some of the key points. We'll build a community, a global community, which I wish I'd done 15 years ago, because so much of the success we've got for our clients is guys working on this much more natural, high quality woman method together, not dating apps and clubs and trying to run through 100 girls in a year. Trying to meet really high quality women, and maybe having 2 or 3 on the go at one stage for a while. But yeah, the main goal is quality women who are relationship worthy. So yeah, if you could do any of that stuff, that would mean so much to us. And yeah, thank you to the people who've helped us get to this point where we're getting 15,000 views and thousands and thousands of hours of watch time on a video. So Luke, Martin, James, who have I forgotten? A few others. Is it Raul, the guy in Germany? There's probably a few others I forgot to mention. Thank you so much to my wonderful partner in this endeavor, Tess. And yeah, did you want to add anything before we go, Tess?
No, just thank you guys. Thanks for your engagement. Thanks for some of the new guys here. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for saying hi. Your questions have been awesome. And happy birthday again to James.
Thank you. And yeah, tell us if you've made it this far, would you like us to create a community of guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s? Generally, we get guys a bit above average IQ, sometimes, done a bit with their life. Would you like us to create this community if that's something you'd really value, teaching much more natural methods, female psychology methods, conversation-based methods, rather than trying to get as many girls as you can off the apps? If that sounds interesting to you, just put community in the comments and that will move up my to-do list, which is quite long at the moment. So anyway, thanks again to Tess. Thanks again to you guys for the sort of some success we've had recently, and keep smiling, and bye for now with my little pathetic, puny Donald Trump-like hands. Mine are even smaller and more pathetic than Trump. I've been beaten in thumb wrestles by two models. Two models beat me in thumb wrestles, and they said, "Stop letting me win." I'm like, okay. Anyway, keep smiling. Bye for now. Cheers, guys.
See you guys. Bye.